Hello Internet. This is Stop Acta 2. Today it will be even shorter as there is no point to keep on talking. We need to act. By the end of March, the final vote regarding the Internet censorship Acta 2 directive will take place in the European Parliament. This is the very last moment to oppose it and hit the streets to protest. The whole Europe is ready to protest against the directive, which will serve the copyright mafia, politicians, and major publishers to take control over the independent network. If they succeed, the Internet will never be the same again. We will be continuously controlled, and only the biggest and the richest in collusion with political forces will be in charge of the information flow. So they can't wait for this to happen. See you on the 23rd of March at the protest in your city. We warn all members of the European Parliament that whoever votes for Internet censorship will be removed from the European Parliament in May election. We protest particularly strongly against Article 11 and Article 13. We say stop Acta 2 and save your Internet.
Greetings citizens of Europe. The biggest threat to the internet is at our doorsteps, and we need you to fight against it. On the 25th of March, the European Parliament is going to vote on the European Copyright Directive. Under the final text, any online community, platform or service is responsible for ensuring that no user ever posts anything that infringes copyright, even momentarily. This is impossible, and the closest any service can come to it is spending hundreds of millions of euros to develop automated copyright filters. Those filters will subject all internet traffic of every European citizen to interception and arbitrary censorship if a black box algorithm decides their text, pictures, sounds or videos are a match for a known copyrighted work. They are a gift to fraudsters and criminals, to say nothing of censors, both government and private. Under Article 13 of the Copyright Directive, every online community, service or platform is required to make best efforts to license anything their users might conceivably upload, meaning that they have to buy virtually anything any copyright holder offers to sell them, at any price, on pain of being liable for infringement if a user later uploads that work. Article 11, which allows news sites to decide who can link to their stories and charge for permission to do so, is also a huge threat to our internet freedom. The final text clarifies that any link that contains more than single words or very short extracts from a news story must be licensed, with no exceptions for non-commercial users, non-profit projects, or even personal websites with ads or other income sources, no matter how small. In order to save the internet, we are launching Operation Copy Wrong. Join us by getting informed about the European Copyright Directive and by contacting your representatives via the link we provided in the description of this video. To let our voices be heard, we will be leaving our keyboards and we will take to the streets throughout Europe on the 23rd of March. Our peaceful protest will send a clear message to the European Parliament that we want them to represent European citizens, not industry lobbyists. You can find a map of protests in your area in the description. We are anonymous, expect us.
Welcome.
What up, guys? You have dead hair right now. What up, guys?
There it goes.
I'm here.
Hello.
Someone bring AK in.
I am only short time joined because in few minutes I will be go away. I have a lot of stuff to do right now. So if I just disappear, sorry guys, but I need to.
Turn it down.
It's okay. We're not live yet. 1 minute, I think. Oh, we're live. We're
No,
live.
you're live, Mark. Yeah, I can hear everything through the YouTube channel right now.
Okay, we just went live. Then welcome back everyone again to Stop Actor 2 live. This is I think this the seventh episode. We promised to broadcast each day till 23rd of March out of protest against this whole ACTA 2 thing, and on March 23 we plan to go live from all the 73 protest locations. It will be a hell of a job, but we will do it. Um, for people who don't know what it is about yet, you can visit stopacta2.org. That's the quickest way. Um, Feel free to visit the Discord server. You find it in the description below the stream, and you can join live on air. Well, just a real quick explanation. The ACTA 2 directive, that's how we call it. It's pretty much about Article 11 and Article 13. That's what we focus on. Article 11 is the link tax that they will change the internet in such a way that you have to pay for linking to material. This is an attack on the freedom of education, of course, because companies and websites will have to decide what kind of stuff they pay for. So what you will be able to see on sites, and this includes search engines, and that will all be limited because of this. Then there is Article 13, that is the famous upload filter. It will automatically block copyrighted content from the internet from being uploaded. This includes parodies, memes, and any material that is considered copyrighted by them. Second part of Article 13 is that they will make website owners responsible for everything the users do. So, including your big social media websites, they will be responsible for everything the users do. So, this will create a new censorship machine on websites, especially like news sites. If they allow comments and someone posts something copyrighted, the people can be sued for this. So, for us, all of this matters a lot. That is why so many different groups all around Europe are already joining the protests against ACTA 2. We have 73 locations now. We all go to the street for the massive protest on the 23rd of March, and search all about it by using hashtags Stop ACTA 2 or Save Your Internet. That is a big one too. Find it all over on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever, wherever you are. Just and if you're not from the EU and you can't go to any protest, then remember you can be of great help by sharing and making people aware of all of this, because as some already have read, this is also coming to the USA. There are already certain political figures like Elizabeth Warren literally copying the words from the directive and trying to implement it in the USA. So the USA will not be exempt from this either. So that's a small intro. whoever wants to give their opinion about this, just go ahead.
I
wasn't
wondered.
Oh, sorry.
I always wondered how they were going to get around like this all the laws that currently existed. Are they just going to trample on top of them?
Probably.
Go ahead, Fluffy. You know a lot about this.
Basically, laws can just be like amended or just repealed really easily. And last year, there was a new law in the U.S. called Massa Sessa, which actually kind of eviscerated like a law from the late 90s, which basically allowed us to have the internet we have today. And yeah, it can all whatever we have right now, it can just be undone so easily.
But it is a process. Or I was reading the thing; it doesn't really say it's going to supersede existing laws, but it pretty much is going to.
Yes.
It is a directive, and that means that if it passes, all the countries in Europe will have up to 2 years of implementing it, and they have to decide how they will implement it in their own law. And but the EU rules will be superior to the national laws. Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
there are some.
Very much.
Not acceptable, really. You guys are doing a great job not tolerating it.
The only thing we can do is ask as much attention for it as possible, because if people remember how ACTA 1 was stopped in 2012, it only happened because people were aware of it. And if people become aware of this, I don't think anyone will support this. But how are they trying to pass it is by doing it in secret, and they already failed on that. So that's something.
That's true. If it's not reported, no one knows.
Exactly.
Well, I'm doing what I can to share it as much places as I can and drop, even if there's petitions that can be sent that way just to object to it.
There is a website that actually works. It is pledge 2019.eu. Politicians are signing the pledge there, and that means that they are pledging their allegiance to us and they will vote against it. There are already over 100 pledges made by politicians. So those are different EU politicians, and they support the fight against this. It's a lot. It's not enough because there are 751 people voting on the 25th or 26th. But there are also some promises made by others that they will also already vote against this. So we might be able to stop it. At least we all have good hopes, because there are elections upcoming too, and yeah, you know what will happen to most of these politicians if they actually support this kind of stuff. So
That's true. I wonder too if on this side of if because they sell a lot of media products, so they might be they might have a stake in the game and might be interested in putting their words in, for support for freedom of speech and whatnot.
you mean in the USA?
Yeah, but it might be an idea that I could try to implement or start going to. This is some kind of petition of just the regular people and businesses that export to Europe their products or whatnot, services.
Well, of course, Silicon Valley is the biggest on the internet, and they have the big companies. We know Wikipedia is already backing us, and they plan to go black on March 21. At least the German Wikipedia goes black. I expect the Spanish to go black too. We hope others will go black too. There's a number of other sites who are also already planning to go dark. But anyone who wants to support this, yeah, they should make a statement, I guess. Either go dark or put like a big banner on their front page, I think.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think something like that should be implemented. Even the smaller companies that work in the industry of entertainment and whatnot, or artists, they might get behind it too.
Well, especially if Jimmy Wales is the founder of the Wikipedia group, and he openly supports it. He also shares from us the posts against it, and if people like him, who are like have been around for so long, and people like Tim Berners-Lee, who is actually the creator of the World Wide Web, uh, literally sent out an email with 70 people supporting him, including the Mozilla founder, for example, complaining about this whole Article 13 thing specifically, then it should make clear to other companies what's actually happening and also to politicians, by the way. I mean, these people have been around for so long and they know so much about the internet that they're whatever they have to say should be taken seriously, I think.
I think that's a good point. That should be done. Hopefully, the more pressure, the better.
Yeah, we're doing everything we can. We are like, some of us are like emailing to MEPs, those are the European Parliament members, like all day long. Some actually do reply and they respect it, and some also pledge that they will support us. But uh, yeah, we're putting the max pressure we can on these people. So yeah, it would help if a lot of big websites would join the fight, like in 2012.
Like I actually remember with Sopa Pippa 7 years ago, Google even participated in the protests, even though the only thing you did was change your logo to like a black censor bar.
Yeah, yeah, you're
But
right.
but it still helped out immensely though, and it would be a very very easy thing for them to do, just to a logo like every other day for some stupid sort of thing event that they're celebrating. So it wouldn't be that hard at all to replace their logo with a censor bar and then explain why they're doing that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea because a lot of those companies are international, so it affects them greatly as well.
Of course, and it will affect them. I mean, the internet is not some isolated. The internet in the USA, for example, is not some isolated place. I mean, if you visit a website in Asia or something, it's likely that your internet traffic will pass through the European Union too. Big exchanges. And if the Article 13 comes into effect, that is the upload filter, then it will also be your traffic being scanned. It doesn't matter if you're from the USA. If they literally build these big machines and they have the money for it already, they have a budget until 2020 for of 20 billion, I think, or it was 40 billion. Someone else had exact numbers on that. So that you're talking about tens of billions of euros being already reserved for this. And if they tap into the exchanges directly or into the transatlantic cables, they will, of course, also monitor your traffic. So you will also be affected, for sure.
Yes,
Do
the
you,
stuff this. Oh, you go ahead.
do you hear that? Like all of a sudden, like all the truths that we were telling everyone about, like are finally admitted by everyone voting on Article 13.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
Axel Ross
It takes a
literally
while, but
said
they will
that.
listen eventually. You know how it goes, right?
Like Axel Ross literally said it was either today or yesterday that YouTube should be banned because businesses that like make their business on sharing copyrighted work shouldn't exist. He literally said that.
I read that
Article
too.
13 is to kill fair use.
I've read
Can
that
I
too.
just jump in and interrupt here? Sorry, guys, for interrupting. But so I'm reading through your guys' issues you're having with your Article 13. I see a lot of Parliament members are not actually overly impressed with what this new law is doing. But I mean, for all those of us that have been in the pirating industry for decades, I mean, this is not going to stop us from doing what we do, anyways, right? Whether you censor copyright information, it's still we're going to still put it out there. There's going to be a way to like, you know what I mean?
The
Bypass.
problem we have with Article 13, we already know it's not going to affect anyone who actually kind of breaks the rules. We know why we're against it is because it's going to end up hurting regular internet users a hell of a lot more than us.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, is right about that too. It's not going to affect the actual people looking to do this. They will find other ways of piracy. So that's not even going to work. It's only going to affect the normal people again. With yeah,
The
which
general
opens
public.
up a new opportunity to charge people $20 and teaching them how to pirate.
such services will be more popular for sure.
It would be like basically saying that anyone who's caught with a knife is automatically going to get a prison sentence. So it's obviously it's aimed at criminals. They're going to end up getting people like butchers or like chefs or like anyone else who legitimately needs to use those tools in trouble wrongly. It'd be like that.
They're literally saying they're going to make a ban on memes with Article 13.
Yeah, if they will ban all copyrighted content, and they will like if you make a meme which has something copyrighted in it, will be banned. It's like, but automatically, right? It will be filtered out. It's like sick.
Thought
This
police.
is this is this is a very interesting movement. Like I can see both ends of the stick here. Why this would be good and why it would be bad. Um, it stops plagiarizing of copyrighted material, right? For one, which means an artist that it has been, it was huge in the music industry years ago, right? Because artists were getting ripped off. The what's his face there with the movies things, whatever the hell he was called, and all the videos. You used to get all the movies and all the music for free. It was on a Facebook movie.
Napster.
Napster.
Napster,
Called
yeah, there you go.
Napster.
Thanks. It's been that long, I forgot it's out of my memory banks, right? But I mean, like there was those issues that came around, and it supported the rights for artists, right? You know what I mean? Because artists were getting ripped off left, right, and center. They weren't getting their royalties off music that they made. So I understood that as being somewhat of an indie musician myself, right? I understood that concept, but at the same time, there's a lot of people out there that can't afford to go and pay $20 for a single song. That's what it was back then. Just aged myself there with that one.
True, but the market just adapted to the times. So CD sales are way down still. Then it didn't help any in that regard. They just learned how to do things like they were popular. They had gang people's eyes, so they could sell advertisements or support whatever, and they're still making lots of money.
I always understood this fight between the copyright owners and pirates, right? I mean, but usually it was done in a civil court, and but now we're reaching the point that the government is actually stepping in and choosing the side of one of the parties, and they are not only going to censor like copyrighted content, they will literally uh, screen the traffic you will upload and then see if there is copyrighted content in it. But what happens to the other traffic? They also screen. I mean, they will be able to recognize other things too, for example, with Article 13. So that's also a thing. And for the government to take a public stand on something that is has to do with civil rights, with civil lawsuits, is very disturbing.
Yeah, that's a big signal intelligence grab for sure.
Can I ask why this is back happening again? Because according to Wired, an article was written in June of last year saying that Article 13 was rejected by 318 votes to 278, with 31 absentees.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, they just continue to try it again. And right now, they have some groups that they actually agreed on it, on a new version of it, so to speak, but it's even more damaging than the old one.
From
What?
from my understanding, there's only they only need a 6 month law before they can go at it again.
And we also have to realize that the person who's like pushing this hardest is Axel Voss from the CDU, CSU, which is a so-called Christian Democrat European uh, party. Um, they that Axel Voss is the same guy who during the Snowden leaks put in over 200 different amendments into the European privacy laws and attempted to reduce our privacy and increase the powers for surveillance to surveil our traffic. And most of it failed, but he actually tried to do the over 200 amendments. And this Axel Voss is also the same guy who, after the Panama leaks, defended big corporations against actually exposing this information about themselves. He protected the big corporations against having to expose their tax information and their income, but he always worked hard to reduce our privacy. And this is like an obvious. This guy is obviously being paid or works for some very powerful corporate group. But
So
That's
if this goes through and it gets passed, do you think that they're gonna make you have licenses like they do in in England, watch TV? You're gonna have to purchase a license now to view copyrighted material. I wonder, you know what I mean? I'm kind of curious. Well, this will destroy a lot of businesses, taking this, this away from. Because you know what I mean? Like, how does Nike sell their shit? Their shit's copyrighted, right? But they run commercials. So how are you supposed to play a commercial unless you're paying for licensing fee?
yeah, and how damaging will it be for? Let's say you have all these YouTubers who like upload these videos and then like uh, open up like a package they receive from Nike and like look at these shoes and say like I love these shoes and these were better than the previous edition and stuff. They get a lot of commercial stuff from that too. I don't think if they are even realizing that, but yeah, I don't know. Well, what their approach is on it, but it is yeah.
Interesting,
a
but I
very
would see that.
situation.
I would see that as a money maker, just like they did the licensing for TV in England, right? You know what I mean? Just another way to take $10 out of your pocket every month.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Uh, that is that what we discussed something like that yesterday too, and that is that they want to like ask money for the initial sale of something, but they forget that they are actually destroying their own reach, like on the internet. Like there are so many people talking about stuff and promoting them for free, pretty much. And yeah, it is also with we had the discussion about bans yesterday, and that some research says that piracy actually gives them more income because they will be known at such all these countries where the people don't have the money to pay $1 for a song, but they actually do want to listen to it, and they actually do buy merchandise when they save up for it, and they do go to concerts and stuff. It's difficult.
I want to see how this is going to affect my country.
I wonder if there's a way that they could do something where you guys, someone was mentioning that the benefit of it is that it will do a little bit of protecting people's privacy, like their faces. The only real benefit there is. If they do something like how they did with Google, where they had to block out just the faces of people, sort of idea, nothing else.
That was the Google Earth thing. There was a German lawsuit actually against them, a privacy lawsuit, and they had to block out the faces out of Google Earth. Yeah.
It might be a compromise, though. I mean, if they keep trying at it, say you could. I might be satisfy the one side and the other side.
Okay, well, if Article 13 goes through, Thor, you're gonna have a hard time because they're gonna take Grinder offline, so you're gonna be out of a dating system there. Yeah, so I'm just reading here a CBC article, and they're saying how will it affect Canadians, right? So if you're Canadian, unless you only want to ever view American or Canadian services, then Canadians should be worrying about this too, as we will no longer get that uncensored German adult programming.
Yeah, and you also know like sites like YouTube and Facebook and stuff. I don't think they will make like separate sites for all. They will just all have this censored version, I think. But that's just what I think about it. I don't think they can actually build like separate sites. I don't know. What
That'd
do
be
you got?
expensive. I
They're
think that would be
separate.
expensive. That would be very expensive. You would have to set up whole new network, whole new server. areas. You know what I mean? You'd have to have people that are literally sitting there monitoring. You have to have programmers that develop software to catch every little glitch and every niche. I think that would be extremely expensive. And for a business move, I wouldn't do it. I would just run the censorship right through the platform we already have.
Well, within
Um,
Canada and
I,
the US, between like especially YouTube, the .ca and the .com versions have different content available to them.
so I mean,
I can only say from experience that in the past, Gemma, which is the German Collective Rights Society, they were the last of them basically to strike agreements with YouTube. And I know that between 2012 and 16, YouTube was blocking regionally for Germany and Austria. So in principle, it has been done before.
Okay, so you will have like a European censor tube, and you will have like a full access American tube or whatever. And
I'm not sure, kind of, if you would call it like that. It's just they found a way, it seems, to make YouTube videos available for people outside the European Union, and block them. No, sorry, not European Union, for outside Germany and Austria, and block them within Germany and Austria. On this, I'm pretty positive on that one.
Regional filtering.
Yes.
yeah, well, in this case, it will be actually impossible to upload at all. So the video will not say unavailable to China or whatever. It will just not be able to upload it at all. So we'll just have less content, I think.
Yeah. If you upload, I mean, the thing is, if you're in Austria or in Germany, then, or within the European Union, of course, and you upload stuff, it would be blocked. Yes. At least I suppose it would. But if you're outside the European Union and upload the stuff, then you probably would be fine. Also, people, of course, within the European Union wouldn't be able to see it. I guess, but don't take my word for it, because I'm not an expert. I would like to put in, however, one detail which probably contradicts myself. In Australia, there is this law that newspapers are not allowed to publish with ongoing law cases. I'm not sure if you know. The thing is kind of that Australia insists on enforcing this globally. So basically, they asked newspapers worldwide to not cover ongoing cases in Australia. And the New York Times, out of being afraid to fail to properly block Australians, globally censored the coverage of Australian cards. So while YouTube, it seems, was pretty confident they got it right, and of course the punishment for YouTube of getting this wrong wasn't so severe back then, probably. So it's probably also a question, what do they have to fear if they don't get it right? Which for me is hard to gauge. Yeah, but so in principle it can be done, also it could seemingly be risky. But the question is, of course, are they willing to do the risk? I mean, YouTube is technical. I mean, there is hardly, I think, a company that's more competent when it comes to technology than Google and YouTube and Alphabet. So if anyone can pull it off, then probably them. But the question is how in the end I got the expression that user-generated content platforms tend to overblock.
So
Yeah.
with Google, something similar happened before in, I think it was Portugal. Something like Article 11 was introduced there, like in a.
It was in Spain.
Okay, and was like in a small form, was it? And then Google News was affected there, and then Google took the step to remove Google News entirely from the area, and then then it affected the local companies and stuff so much that they actually made a deal with Google.
No, that was in Germany. I mean, basically, we had two instantiations of link tags in Europe so far, which both failed, but they failed in different ways. The first one was in Germany. In Germany, basically, the publishers had the main difference was that in Germany, the publishers could waive their rights, And so when the law was passed, Google News unlisted them, and the traffic dropped. And with the traffic, of course, the advertisement revenue dropped. And so basically, the companies tried to litigate to litigate Google. They wanted to force them legally to list them in Google News on grounds that Google was kind of had a dominant position, but of course they were laughed out of court because of course you even if a company is the single buyer of your goods, you cannot force them to buy. I mean, obviously, but anyhow, they tried, it failed. And then after that, they gave the license for free to Google. Funnily enough, not to the competition of Google. So in the end, which was sold as a Google tax, ended being paid by everyone but Google. Okay, that was for Germany. Okay, then kind of 2 years later or so, or 3 years later, out because of the tremendous success, I guess, Spain decided they wanted to do a rerun. But of course they saw that the newspapers in the end couldn't, there is only so much way around Google and basically online platforms. So what they said was, okay, we make a difference. Now, firstly, they made massive fees if Google would violate this neighboring right. Really, I mean, that would even hurt Google. I think it was something like 50,000 per link, but it was ridiculous. And the second thing was it did forbid the newspaper publishers to opt out. And so then Google said, okay, we're pulling the plug on this. And then the newspapers of Spain tried to they lobbied the Spanish government to force Google to keep the Google News Spain up and also to pay them. So basically what they wanted to do in Germany and in Spain was to have Google index them and then pay them for this. And of course, this was the reason why this failed. And this is the reason actually why it will fail again. Because the thing is, and I think if they really thought this through beyond the point, and then Google pays us much money, then they would see that Google as a company, if they start to have to pay for linking, everything this company does and makes them money is linking. So if they do that, their business model is obsolete. So they cannot, if they want to be relevant as a company, they cannot start to make the precedent of paying for links. And so they won't. It's just as simple as that. And honestly, I think everybody in this group, we are in our chat here, everybody knows about the robots.txt and the robot exclusion standard and the robots meta tag. So if the newspapers wanted to keep out Google, they could do that easily, but they didn't. So because there is a technical solutions, every search engine, every major search engine, I once did a quick research. Basically, the search engines which have within Europe a market share of I think 98%. They respect the robots text and they respect the robots meta tag. It's just that the newspapers don't want to keep Google out. They want them to index, and then once they're listed on Google News, they want them to pay them for this service. And this is the reason why this doesn't work. And this is the reason why it will fail again. If newspapers, basically, if they really want to basically, they would have to do a paywall. Then people who would want to read the news would have to pay for it, which in some sense is fair. If this is the business model, I mean, who am I to judge? The New York Times did it, and I personally do have a New York Times a subscription. I actually did have a subscription of European newspaper, but I canceled it because of what I saw as lobbying for their own cause, which is unacceptable. If you are the fourth pillar of democracy, if your task is to inform people and you start to use this position of privilege basically to inform them badly or inform them in a way that actually hurts, or in my opinion at least hurts the public cause, but you think helps you gain money, that's unacceptable.
I see that too.
Yeah, thanks for the whole history lesson. Many people, I think, didn't know about the whole German and also the Spain situation with that. It was a good example.
Yeah, that was interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Welcome.
So Mark, I was just reading here, I found another article, and it says Google's copyright filter that they built just for the audio tracks of video costed them 60 million, and was building one of these for potential copyright works from software up. That is going to be something that would be beyond the means of anyone trying to start a new business. So I think they'll just censor the whole thing right across the block.
I think you're right. They won't invest that for something new. They will, censor the whole thing. So I think everyone will be affected.
Yeah, which means we'll have to go back to the days of Merc to get all of our stolen content or to watch the videos. No, it's an interesting article. I'm glad you brought me in on this. It's something I'll be looking into anyways. So,
Yeah, feel free to post it in chat in the Discord. I'll read it.
Well, I'll post this out to all my networks everywhere. I've got half the people in my inbox crying about why their Facebook isn't working. I said, well, if your Facebook isn't working right now, it's probably because you've been targeted. You should just delete it right now.
yeah. Well, I was posting about it on Twitter. Like, so much people care about their Facebook being down. Well, imagine the entire internet being censored. Like, what the hell, man? That's what we're protesting against, the entire internet being entirely censored, being completely surveilled, and it's shocking.
Yeah, it's so this kind of reminds me of net neutrality, right? That the United States just had to deal with. Censorings, right? Content blocking. To me, I live in Canada. We've been dealing with this since the 80s. So we don't have any sympathy for you guys whatsoever. We've been paying extremely high internet bills since the 80s. Like for real, unreal amounts they charge us up in this country. But if Article 13 $100 plus a month, yeah, and that's not even for 600 speed. You know what I mean? That's your low end 400 speed for $120 a month. And they say it's unlimited, but nah, they top you out. I've had them call my house a number of times, telling me that I'm exceeding my stuff. And I'm like, you told me it's unlimited.
They refer to it as the new black gold.
Is that what they're referring to it as? I don't know.
Yeah,
I know
oil used to be called that.
all of it. I know a way around to get internet for free for everybody. What you do is you go to your local little hardware store, computer store, and you know those little things that the internet guys, and they come and they plug into your house to see if your line works. You just go and get one of those machines, you plug it in, and your internet works. You don't have to pay for fuck all.
Crack the internet.
Yeah. I don't know if this is legal to be telling people online. Whatever.
Hey, but it was a good point to talk about net neutrality, because that is also that the government is actually choosing the side of a few companies to affect the internet, control the internet. And here in the European Union is also like that now, that they're in bed with a few big copyright owning companies, and that together they will actually decide what happens to the internet. I mean, these big copyright companies will just feed whatever that is they consider copyrighted into the system, and the system then screens everyone based on that. And and then with net neutrality, they also they wanted to give preferred priority access to a few companies, right? So that's also how you say it, an alliance with a few big businesses, and the government, I think, should not be in such alliances. The internet is a free place for everyone, and it should stay like that.
So the final vote for this is March 25th. Is that when they're Final
Yeah.
vote in Parliament for you guys. It's saying Germany's told these guys, everyone, pretty much to FO, and they don't care about it. Polish EMP, they voted against it. The Polacks voted against it. But according to this article here written by Julia Rita, that it's already been passed, and you guys really are. We're all going to be screwed.
Julia Rita, she's also very close with us. She posts almost every day about this on her Twitter. She's from the Pirate Party, who are also involved with our protests. Yeah, there is like there was already a talk. It's called a trilogue, I think, and they agreed on a final version of the law, and then they will present that final version to the parliament. And yeah, behind closed doors, these few groups discussing about that already agreed on that final version. So yeah, what the politicians in parliament can do is only vote if they agree with this final version or not. They don't actually make the plans; they can only vote yes or no. So
To the best of my knowledge, that's not true. If I understood Julia Reda correctly, they can't vote on making changes and throwing Article 13 out.
We're talking about bureaucrats?
yeah, pretty much.
Pardon?
I guess I got good timing then.
Yeah, we were talking about bureaucrats. Yeah.
Well, that's Europe. We have lots of that.
Yeah. So what I'm reading here, yes, is exactly what I thought. Is that they're going to charge you a license fee, right? So a YouTuber negotiates a license fee with a film studio for their trailers.
But they are doing that right now too. To the best of my knowledge, I mean, YouTube does have, because as we all know, YouTube does have a filter system already, which is somehow working, or well, at least not too bad. It's sort of fair.
Will then no longer be blocked from uploading these trailers and adding commentary, for example, but not professional vloggers who make a living on platforms. You're gonna have to pay.
Yeah. The thing is, but also the thing is kind of, it's not true kind of that the users are not held liable by Article 13. This is simply a lie. The fact is that with Article 13, it's simply not written in what happens to them. So basically, based on what's in the in the text, there's only written if the platform has a license and the users is not acting commercially and makes no significant amount of money, then there is no problem. But it's not written that in the case they do not have the license, what happens to him or her then? It's only written that in this case the platform is liable, but it's not written, I repeat, not written that the user is not liable. And to the best of my knowledge, at least Julia Reda said it, and as actually the way I see it too, and actually several other people says, which are more knowledgeable about this than I do, say that in this case the user is still liable. Just as easy.
So you're saying that they're trying to force people to get licenses?
Now the thing is that the one of the selling points of this Article 13 was that the users will be off the hook, but that's not true.
Yeah,
users will still be liable.
Yeah, I don't know how they will actually solve this in the end, but
they won't.
No. No, well, what they say is the countries have 2 years to implement this, and they will probably implement it in different ways, right?
Guaranteed, yes.
So
and whoever is programming, the filters will have the pleasure of implementing 26 or 27 versions.
So Article 13 of the Copyright Detective states services such as YouTube could be held responsible if their users upload copyrighted protected movies or music.
And the only way for them to get off the hook is they have to make license agreements. The thing is they have to make best effort to acquire licenses with basically all rights holders. As we know, every one of us is rights holder. So basically they have to go to you, to me, your sister, and your cat, and acquire a license for whatever they have in photos. And if they do not do that, or at least they have to, I will show you how this is supposed to be implemented, or they have to give you a way to to sell you the licenses. I really don't know. And basically, if they don't do that, then they are liable. Second thing is they have to make they have to in case they don't get the license, they have to filter. And they have to filter to the highest industry standard, which you can make, you can how to say, basically that would mean content ID for everyone, more or less. And also you have to be aware that while content ID is basic and kind of all filtering systems which are currently shipped, Audible, Magic, Content ID, however Facebook calls the stuff, they are only working for video and audio. But Article 13 demands the same basically for all works. So basically, and that's a law, because this is, for instance, text, every poem. But so basically, and then but also this poem read, because obviously if you read the poem, then still it's covered by the same copyright. And basically, if you make a snapshot of the poem and upload it, all the same, and so on and so on. For instance, in some regions in Europe, at least in Italy, they don't have freedom of panorama. Okay, here you go. They have to upload. They have to make a database of all the buildings which are protected by copyright. And if someone uploads a picture of this building, they have to filter it out. But of course, only for Italy. They may leave it online for, say, Austria. And then basically the third thing is that, but this is kind of the third thing they need to do is that basically they need to remove speedily if notified that somebody uploaded, despite the best efforts, the stuff. But this is already now. There's nothing new. There is, I have to put in, which makes it slightly more complicated, the Article 13.4a, which is basically the mitigation, so to speak, in establishing whether the platforms complied with this best effort to buy, this filtering obligation, and the speedy removal. It shall be taken into account the material they are hosting, and also the the economic abilities. But basically, of course, the thing is, many sites are so they are not operating on such a big margin. So, and if, for instance, let's say in principle, say text is copyrightable. So say a forum where you can post stories would have to implement a filter. Now, this is nothing you get rich with. So, and repeat, there is no, because basically, of course, if a book is copyrighted, you cannot, you cannot post, say, a paragraph of it, because this is also copyrighted. And so basically, they have to, filtering text is really, I think, computationally really hard. And so basically, they tell them, you're operating a filter, you make, 200 euros a month, and now you're operating a forum where people are exchanging poems. So please be so kind and implement a filter which hasn't been done before. Okay, and basically, of course, perhaps when it goes to court, perhaps the court says, yeah, it's just such a small site and they don't have all that many copyright violations. I don't know. But will they then really say the best effort is do nothing at all? If this was me running the forum, I wouldn't try this. I would just vote. Yeah. Okay, that's because the thing is, I had today a rather lengthy conversation with the aid of a conservative MEP from Austria, and that's why I'm a bit into this at the moment.
So is this going to affect DJs?
I think so. I think it will.
But only
yeah.
if you own. But if they don't post online, it shouldn't matter for them, would it?
No, they don't post online. No.
No, they're downloading music, man.
Yeah, if they don't
Let's-
upload, they're safe.
I'm just kind of curious, right? Because I'm just like about to upload a mix set that I just did, but I don't want to be hit with copyright infringements by like 70 different artists. I just have to pay out some of those bitcoins that everybody around the world owes me. I'll tell you that.
But it is a good question because like YouTube and sites are like filled with all these remixes and stuff. So how would this even?
Naja, the thing is kind of, sorry? We had one rather land. I mean, the ruling is not complete. It's just that what would be kind of the general state attorney, I think, in English, of the European Union between Kraftwerk, which is a band, and some remix artist. The remix artist added 2 seconds of the song of Kraftwerk, the band, to his remix. And but it seems the court probably will rule that even these 2 seconds are a violation of copyright.
Over here in my country, in North America, it's 12 seconds. If you use 12 seconds of anybody's music,
but you have fair use. We
I
don't.
don't know about Europe, but I do know North America is anything over 12 seconds is a copyright.
But you have a general fair use exception. We do not. We have optional fair use exceptions which may or may not be implemented by the countries. And rather often they are not. And also these exceptions are more narrow than the, than you would think. For instance, there is a parody exception, but at least Julia Rader said, and kind of, I mean, that's hard for me to check, but at least Julia Rader said that at least the German the German parody exception probably doesn't cover memes. Probably not, she said. But also, it totally depends on which meme you're uploading. And for instance, criticism. For instance, much of this parody, criticism and pastiche thing. Basically, I'm not sure if much of fan work is covered by this. At least not in itself, because fan work obviously is not criticism, and often it's not humorous. So perhaps it's pastiche, I don't know, but perhaps often not as But basically, if you need a lawyer to write a fan fiction story, then where's the fun? And the point is, so far it wasn't so important because the companies, the entertainment companies, they thrive on fan work. It keeps it keeps the hype alive. It brings people to their product in the end. But of course, now that the platforms are liable, they would need to get basically the consent of the active consent of the game industry or the filmmakers that they are cool with their material being posted on the platforms, which then but this then again would have to be more or less blanket. And are they willing to do that? I doubt it. So I really, for me, it's hard to really hard to see how fan art can imagine in Europe with Article 13 passed.
So this is also really going to put a damp on Kodi users.
Pardon?
Like this Article 13 will put a huge damper on Kodi box users, or Android box users and stuff.
Yeah.
What's Kodi box? Sorry, can you educate me?
XBMC. You don't know what XBMC is, Kodi? How to explain it?
The media box.
Hey, come on! I was born in the 70s.
It's a media box. It runs Android, and then you can download movies.
It's kind of like Metasploit. It's a framework.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, come on! Everybody of us sometimes doesn't know something.
Yeah. So it's with Kodi, I don't pay for any cable, right? I have Cody, and either you can watch all 18 billion channels that are on in the world for free, with without commercials. Now they've cracked down on Cody users quite a bit as well because it's all pirated material, right? Obviously, somebody's uploading and streaming to the world for free. Not everybody has a license for it. But so I think that'll be another issue for any of those other people out there like me and just absolutely refuse to pay for it.
But the thing is kind of that that Article 13 isn't directed against piracy or anything like this. Article 13 is because the thing is there isn't actually there is only very little pirated content on YouTube. The fact is just that what Article 13 is just a shakedown so that YouTube sends money to European legacy content industry. This is not about piracy.
So really, is that all it's going to affect? It's like YouTube and social media platforms?
No, I would argue that it's definitely against piracy as well.
No,
because you're
there is no. There is no piracy on YouTube. Not in how to say in large quantities.
They're saying about uploading movies on YouTube and blocking the ability to upload movies. I mean, who uploads movies to YouTube first off? I mean,
yeah, that's the thing. Nobody does that. The thing is, if you want to do that, then you're using torrent.
True, I've seen.
Well, you use that or Putlock. And I mean, there's other services, but yeah, I mean, most people, and this is like years ago, people would torrent movies. I mean, nowadays it's not really even that prevalent anymore.
I just stream them.
I mean,
yeah, most people just stream movies, and that's not illegal to do.
Now the thing is, I think
you're not downloading
this Kino talks and however they are called. But the what I want to say is kind of that basically the Article 13 is not, it's not directed against these share hosting services. It's not against the classic piracy like Think Napster. It's really just a mechanism to extract more money out of YouTube and send it to legacy content industry. That's it.
I mean, because you also have Article 12 where
this is just a shakedown. But that's Article 13. Yeah. They want to make the artists send money to the rights holders too. Yes.
But like you guys were saying earlier, it's going to have a big dragnet anyway. So any traffic that's flowing through it, it's going to be able to see that it's pirated all of a sudden as well, and just take it down under the piracy clause. So it's going to give it a more, ability to intercept it.
Can you explain?
Well, like, okay, so I'm sure they have anti-piracy laws there, the same. And if they're going to build this infrastructure, they could use. It's going to already be every image is already going to be scanned, and if it's going to be found out that this particular one is a pirate copy, they could just cite that we took it down because it was a pirated copy.
Yep, and then.
Yeah, but the thing is, in principle, YouTube is doing this right now too. At least for film and music, and basically this is what that's what these are the main drivers behind the thing is kind of in the some years ago, think after Google bought YouTube. They did let expire the license agreements that YouTube had in place back then. The thing, I'm not sure kind of what was the thinking behind that. Perhaps they wanted to pay less. I don't know. The thing was then still there would be some music on the. Sorry, I need to get my mic ready. There would still be some content on it, and actually the music industry didn't want to completely block it. One of the reasons was, at least locally, that of course the customers of music industry are on YouTube. So basically you couldn't get around YouTube. And the thing was basically what for instance Gemma wanted from YouTube was kind of.
Know that bullshit. Vivo got you around. All the licensing bullshit that you had to go through with YouTube or whatever. Vivo was the alternative, and they didn't have no like licensings or nothing. I don't know if you guys know who Vivo is, but it was like the alternative.
I know Vivo, yeah. Actually, I mean the thing is, but I mostly use actually YouTube. Perhaps I should try Vivo. But bottom line is the the Collective Rights Society, GEM, and I think others, they wanted to establish a legal precedent that YouTube was in fact a service like Spotify, more or less. And because
I
then
seen that coming as
then they would
well.
have
I
a
seen
legal
that coming last year.
Hmm?
That YouTube was gonna go to Spotify. I seen that a year ago. The YouTube was gonna go to a Spotify version. You know what I mean? Where they're gonna just
Yeah.
charge you
Yeah.
a subscription fee, right? A
You
month.
can have I have
for the premium, actually.
perhaps
Strawberry
the
cable.
only one in the world. But the thing is kind of that the music industry tried to get a legal precedent that YouTube would be liable like Spotify if they if they stream kind of unauthorized music. Not like because at the moment, due to safe harbor, because they are a user-generated content platform, if something slips to the filters, they just go there and delete it. The thing was basically that YouTube, that the music industry tried to establish that what now Article 13 basically said, because of course, obviously, they did fail. The courts did give YouTube actually some extra work to do. Basically, they made content ID legally binding for YouTube. But YouTube was kind of cool, and kind of the YouTube said basically, if you want the amount of money you ask us for, then sorry, we will just block your music if you're cool with. And of course, basically, if you're the music industry, you can't not be present on YouTube. Actually, during a discussion on Twitter, this Netopia idiots, basically, and this guy from Ethiopia basically said that you can't. That he verbatim said there are only so many vertical channels for selling music. So basically, they if they demanded YouTube to block their music.
Okay. Just real quick, if people are listening and don't know what Article 12 is about in the directive, because we only talk about 11 and 13 so much, and that is, it basically says that only organizers of events are allowed to broadcast this. So if you at like a soccer match or like at a festival, and you're not allowed to tape something and broadcast it because the rights go to the organizer. So if you're like a soccer fan and you upload like favorite tricks or whatever, it will be copyrighted because it is part of like a match that is organized by someone else. So that is basically what it says.
Basically, you can't go to an event and record yourself at the event and say hi, mom, because then then send that on Facebook, because then you'd be breaking the law.
If you try to hear somebody's news story, something important, and they have copyrights on it, CBS or Fox or whatever,
Right.
Get uploaded, and that's the most important part here. Information, research material, news.
Yep. And with the link tags in one of the other articles, I mean, that's just scary for freedom of information, because that means that website owners would have to choose what studies to keep up on their websites, what different research papers and everything else all online. They would have to pay a link tax to go to other websites for information.
Attacking knowledge.
Yeah, so I feel
Absolutely.
Article 13 and 12 can be very dangerous to citizen journalism, right? Let's say if something happens at a protest, like someone gets stabbed or a terrorist attack or whatever, and you're videotaping it and you're not allowed to upload it or whatever. Or say police brutality or something. Activists sometimes.
Yeah, they can just claim copyright and take it down.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I wanted to, or wasn't sure about, is how are they getting around this kind of stuff like this? The UN has a big set of established procedures that most of these nations are already have signed.
Fair to say that is like we have human rights, and they are conflicting with these human rights. I think, like the freedom to education and all these things, freedom of speech too. But the problem is, yeah, the copyright is also in the UN directive, and you have they signed it, but if it conflicts with one other thing, then it's going to be a legal debate. And then what is more important at such moments is going to be the end result. Let's say if it's a really important, a really bad terrorist attack, for example, then this right to actually record this and do like reporting on it will be more prevalent, I think. But if in other cases the copyright will be regarded as more important, so this is going to be an endless legal debate for sure.
Yeah, and even just a protest, man. If there's a protest going on, all they would have to do now is just send somebody out and just play some music. They could just play Michael Jackson, and then all of a sudden you can't upload that video of the protest because it has Michael Jackson's music in it. And that would be just a new tactic to use against protesters. So, I mean, there's all types of different things here that
Very
would create
scary.
an Orwellian nightmare.
Yeah, it's a fair point. That is something they will probably do then too if they want to stop it. And yeah, other street events too. Imagine walk on the street and there will always be like a store visible with some copyrighted logo, or you will be wearing some brand shoes and you're not allowed to film on these shoes because it will be blocked. Like if you accidentally film your Nike shoes or whatever, then you can already block it.
Yeah. You won't be able to film brands, and it would just be against copyright. You'd have to pay. That's insane.
Because it
Exactly.
would be an idea to support this whole cause. Because if you most of the stuff the UN has is in favor of fair use notice, not against it, especially for educational purposes specifically.
Yeah.
But they are a big bureaucratic, piece of crap.
Yeah, I would say going from one bureaucracy to the next is not going to be the solution.
It's just the current paradigm we're sort of used to already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that they do one thing and then they'll do the other.
You hit you with the left and then hit you with the right.
Yep, when you're not looking.
Okay, so there are so many different things that will be harmful about this. Personally, I feel like if they just like screen all the traffic, that will be so dangerous. Like the upload filters, let's say.
Yeah, upload filters can be absolutely dangerous because you don't know the code behind them.
No, if you're talking about
Yeah.
20 billion AIs, and because we actually saw this in other articles that they're actually investing big in European AI right now, and what will they actually implement these things? That's also a fear many of us have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
also,
sure.
I mean, the thing is kind of once you have this filtering in place, say when in Spain, one of the regions demands autonomy again. I mean, who thinks that the Spanish authorities, if they have the possibility to shut this talk down, that they will not do it? I don't.
Okay, so we have many people in tonight. If you want to support the fight against ACTA 2, Article 11, Article 13, and also Article 12 we're focusing on now, then keep sharing the Discord server, share the protest map. It is in the description below the video. You can always join the Discord server. We're trying to make it as uncensored as possible. just we focus on Stop ACTA 2. I mean, internet belongs to everyone, so everyone should be allowed to join the fight against this. Everyone, even if you don't realize it yet, is going to affect everything you do online. And for some, it is business, and for some, it is their education, daily education. I mean, how many
Others
people?
it's just fun.
Yeah, fun. I mean, how many people still read newspapers and you use the internet for so much these days?
Posting just your favorite sports play would then you would now be breaking the law, and
Yeah, pretty much. It is. Yeah, those are the things that will hurt everyone. And don't act if it's already too late, because how can we actually revert these things? I mean, it's going to be impossible to go back on this when it's already too late. And we have now a little less than 2 weeks we have now to stop this. So
That's a good point. I was just thinking maybe if somebody made a little I'm all right at making it, but a demonstration of what Facebook would look like if this was in play. You could, if you blanked out, and then put this bit of numbers, like it would look pretty dumbed down.
well, why use Facebook though? No, fuck Facebook.
That's
Delete
what people
Facebook.
know. I agree with you totally, but that's what the public knows.
yeah, there's still a huge crowd still on that site, and I know many of us say fuck Facebook, delete Facebook. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
more
Facebook is
information
an
than the
awesome.
FBI ever could have hoped for.
Fedbook, that's what it is.
Yeah.
yeah, well, every site will be censored, and that includes Facebook too. Obviously, their servers are in Ireland for the most of the world, and they will be directly affected by this. And today we saw Facebook down. Many people shocked by it. Imagine everything being
Interesting
censored, right?
timing though, right?
Well, they might be preparing their Ireland service already for this.
Who was the first person to propose this Article 13? I want to have a word with them.
Yeah, that's good.
The first person was a
That would be
German.
Mr.
It was
Boss.
it was Mr. Oettinger. The thing is, European legislation doesn't work as it does in the United States. In the European Union, the only body that can initiate a law, or well, actually, no, not the European Union doesn't. The only person which can trigger a legislation process is the Commission, and this is basically what Oettinger did.
Yeah, well, some bloke had to been sitting there thinking, right? How could I fuck these guys?
Well, Oettinger is a wall-to-wall asshole, actually, if you ask me. I mean, sorry. The thing is basically, he kind of went on the record saying some pretty racist thing about people of Asian descent, and he asked newspaper publishers to tell their staff what to write, and presumably friendly things about Article 11. And kind of
if anybody can find who the initial person was that created this Article 13 and thought up in their head, please by all means hit me up. It's Jeff Kenyon. I'd like to have a word with them. So if somebody could find them, that'd be great. Thanks.
He's gone hiding.
Now, and this thing was actually before Axel Voss took over. You probably know there was a different conservative European Parliament member, and she kind of made a rather reasonable draft, actually pretty reasonable it seemed. But then Voss took over and he threw it out of the window, and basically he reintroduced the Article 13 and 11, which at this point had been removed already from the suggestion of the Uri proposal.
How much was he paid though? That's what I want to know.
I hope a lot, because I wouldn't want to be sold out cheap. Nah, I mean, just kidding. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if he was. I kind of.
Of course he was paid.
Not.
Come on.
I hope he wasn't. He wasn't black. The thing
of course he was paid.
but Axel Voss is completely incompetent.
Well, that's how lobbying works. They pay the politicians, I mean, and push these directives and agendas. So, I mean, of course he was paid, but how much was it? That's the real question.
And many of these
Sir,
guys are
find this guy. I would like to talk to him. So
I would want to speculate on that.
many of these guys will be offered some job too at some corporation afterwards, right?
Yeah,
I-
that's normally how it goes. They don't offer money because that's breaking the law, but they'll offer you a position in political power. That's really how everything goes. That's how it works.
I mean, with Axel Voss, there's this funny anecdote that when the Article 13 it was introduced, I think it was introduced. The draft was not edited by Axel Voss or by one of his staff. It was, you could see, because they sent out the Word document, and because Julia Reda, she knows how to look into the metadata of Word documents because she knows her stuff, and she found out that the guy who edited it was the same guy from, I think it was from Lativa, I don't know how to pronounce it, to pronounce it, the country, sorry. And he worked for the basically he worked for the council back then, and then switched the commission, and there he wrote the draft that Axel was presented then. Funny, yeah?
How is
And,
the CDU, CSU doing in Germany right now?
Well, not nearly as bad as I wish it would. They should have negative percentages by now, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure.
And the next funny thing was that when he went on record to defend the draft, he was verbatim using the same phrases that the Bertelsmann group had put out before.
Okay, well.
And when he made one of the smarter reporters send out one interesting detail, because he made kind of, Axel was sent out material, but it wasn't he didn't it was his material which he linked to. It was a direct link, I think, to Axel Springer material.
Oh my god.
So he didn't even bother anymore to take it and reformulate it and put it in. Actually, I'm not sure if he paid link tax for this. I'm also not sure if he paid the license to copy the Bertelsmann material.
If
He
anyone wants
did,
to,
however, there's also the other funny anecdote that he had copyrighted pictures on his I think it was his Facebook profile. I think 12 of the 17 were copyrighted. And when somebody told when somebody told him, somebody said, ask, hey, you are the top guy for the Euro proposal for copyright reform, and you know your pictures, they are not licensed. And then he had them, it seems, removed because they were not accessible then afterwards. And also when he defended his proposal in Uri committee, I was in the live, I watched in the live stream. There was an article which survived, unfortunately only available in German. I can link it. You can send it through Google Translator. Basically, he said that as a private person, so you and me, you could copy articles verbatim and post them according to a European copyright and Article 11 and Article 13, which is of course complete bullshit, because obviously newspaper articles are copyrighted and you cannot reproduce them without consent of the newspaper. And and this guy is the top dog for European copyright reform. I mean, it's so embarrassing. Every poor country in the third world, I think, would that's not to demean poor countries in less privileged countries. It's just you would think that we in Europe we could put some person to manage this, which actually knows how to say something about copyright. But unfortunately we cannot. and kind of it goes on and on like this.
I've run
And
into a
I
lot
mean,
of that.
no, really, and then this European Commission thing where they really went out and put a blog post online where they called us, the voters, to be part of the mob, and they would link to this news site from David C. Lowery, which is full of insults for people who kind of disagree with him on copyright, and kind of full of conspiracy theories that we are kind of that we are kind of just either bots right away, or that we are paid off by Google, and so on and so on. And this is kind of the equivalent of the US government for Europe. I mean, you know, and then you probably heard about, why they think that they called us bots. It was basically, as far as I understand, it was kind of, there was this Volker Wieck guy who kind of said he kind of investigated, and he found out that all these posts are from people who are in Washington, and so he cleverly deduced that this must be a bot, a troll. A troll factory or a bot factory in Washington, and the people in the members of the European Parliament, and also by linking to it, the European Commission, they parroted this. I mean, you have to fancy that they didn't check it. They just took his word for it and went on record and calling us their voters.
But they gave us what we needed, right? They gave us what we needed because they said we were
I
all
don't, I,
bots.
I don't care. This is insulting on so many levels, and also kind of it shows a fundamental level of incompetence that it's really disturbing.
Yeah.
Because
it is.
because the thing is, I don't know much, but I know I'm no bot. And now, after they went on record telling me I'm a bot, how can I believe them the next time they claim that there's Russian interference in European elections by Russian bots or Russian trolls? Because how can I trust them more than a Russian potente, a Russian semi-democratic leader? And that's really highly disturbing.
Yeah, their lack of knowledge and insight. It really, sometimes I'm left astonished with some of especially the bureaucrats too. They just don't even know their own codes that they're supposed to know, let alone actual, what a professional opinion would be.
Well, I mean, they don't follow the law. They bribe politicians.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Go ahead.
I mean, the people who they do bribe to put in, I'm just, even the bureaucrats behind the scenes, they're just totally idiots. The ones I've met.
Oh yeah, they don't have many brain cells.
So it was interesting you mentioned Zero X. You mentioned Bertelsmann and also Axel Springer. These two groups. These are probably the largest media corporations in Europe. And it is.
The thing is, how to say, I have to be careful because so I wouldn't take my word on it. The thing is, Bertelsmann and Springer, they are more or less news. I mean, Bertelsmann is, I think, a music company, and it's generally more general media company. And Axel Springer is, I think, mainly a newspaper company. And basically, it seems what they wanted was mainly Article 11. I kind of understood. I think Julia Reda once said something like this. I could be off, so kind of don't make me put some words into her mouth. But the thing is, kind of basically, I was as I understood it, they wanted Article 11, while the French, it seems, mainly wanted Article 13. And so the reason why we got Article 11 and Article 13 was that they kind of made a trade-off. So the French got Article 13, and the German got Article 11, and maybe or maybe not the Nord Stream pipeline. I don't know.
Yeah. Amaru, welcome in the show.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, the Nord Stream was part of a deal between Angela Merkel and Mr. President Macron. They seem to have a conversation just before the trilogue, and they made arrangements probably regarding this because the Germans withdrawn from their version after the information that they had a chat via phone. And so was the change of heart within France towards the Nord Stream 2.
So it is interesting to see Bertelsmann is not just into music. It is also the owner of RTL, and RTL is the largest TV broadcasting company in that broadcast in my country, and in Germany it broadcasts too from RTL. It is hosted in Luxembourg. It is interesting they want the Article 11 so much then because the people can no longer link to their shows online then. That is, I think it is damaging to them too, but not sure about that. But
Censoring free information.
Well, they needed Article 11. I mean, this article doesn't have any sense with the copyrights. Press never had any copyrights for articles that are daily articles. And the reason why now we have Article 11 is because they remember that the press stood with the people down on ACTA 2012. So they just bribed the press to stay silent and don't inform the people so they wouldn't go out on the streets. And this is the only reason why we have Article 11. It doesn't really have sense within the copyright directive.
no, I don't think so either. It's like I'm shocked by it. Like we can talk about this like every day, and still it shocks me just as much. It's like
Yeah, it's just like
but
every
we
day
do
we
have
just figure out something another different way that they're fucking us.
we do have a very good surprise for them. Just I think how long is it? 1 week, I think. Yeah, right. 1 week till 21st until the internet blackout. So we will not need the press anymore. We will have the biggest European MEMS platforms, news generator platforms that will black out, and probably Wikipedia in some of the European Union countries. But we still, as users, need to contact our Wikipedias on social media and ask them to black out on the 21st. And if you are a fan of some big website or even a small website, please ask them to black out on the 21st of March. This will give us the best news generator of protest and of what ACTA is, and inform the people even more than the press currently.
Well, there's going to be another type of internet blackout because Team Poison and Chaos Computer Club have just said that they support Save the Internet. So make of that what you will. The governments are probably shaking right now.
yeah, and they are like you say, these groups like TP and Chaos Computer, they are also spreading the Stop ACTA protest map already. So can be very happy with that. I mean, we need all the
Everybody's
support.
uniting with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go after the internet. Gonna get hurt.
You were cutting off, or were you already done?
No, I said go after the internet. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, everyone uses the internet. How can you even be as stupid to do such a thing? I mean, and the timing is also so weird now that there's more skepticism about the whole EU thing, and not saying that we are all EU skeptics, but I think it is a weird timing considering the whole Brexit thing, and yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Plus, plus now we actually have real censorship going on with the GDPR data that they have the deal in place where website owners have to disclose how their data is shared with customers who visit their websites.
Yeah. So the GDPR
that-
was already an example about how some websites are even like you can't even reach them from European IP addresses, for example. That is a
Yep. It'll give you a error and then it'll tell you that your country's blocked. Like that's the type of messages that we're going to be getting if you're in the EU or using an EU VPN because of this crazy directive that they're trying to push.
yeah, because the websites who are like, especially the websites who are incapable of paying for all of this this
Yeah.
copyright filtering, they will simply have to put a message like that up. They can't comply. So yeah.
Yep. That's the big one. It would just completely isolate EU citizens from some websites because there's some website owners who won't be able to pay for the upload filter and link tax to every EU citizen. And you know, that's just the reality of it. They're making it so website owners have to have a certain net income to run their websites, and that's absolute insanity. Because you used to be able to just start a website. Now, if you start a website, you'll have I think it's 3 years, and if you get over a certain amount of number of users, then you're going to owe a link tax, and you're going to have all these other stipulations fall under you for running your own website.
Sorry, I have to put in link text has no size limit. Link text is basically, for instance, I was told link text would also, for instance, affect Wikipedia.
Well, yeah, because Wikipedia uses a whole bunch of links that go to different outsourced websites.
Yes, and
So
they
any website that uses outbound links to another website would be paying a link tax to that website. That's how the link tax works.
I think it's only for news. If you're linking to news sites, I think, but I could be off. But Wikipedia does this a lot too, I think. So.
Yeah, Wikipedia pretty much every page is pretty much using sources, usually from newspapers and stuff too, so they can no longer link to that. There's no more
because
source.
if you link to it, then you gotta pay. Yeah. That's crazy because then they completely kill blogging and they kill all these different types of industries that have flourished before they decided to step in and put their ugly heads into the internet.
Yeah, but
Basically, stay the.
this is that they are doing this. This is totally understandable from their point of view. If you get one YouTuber, look, no, I'm just telling you their point of view. One YouTuber has about 1 million to 2 million subscribers who watch him. And he's just one person plus some people that help him analyze materials and create the movie. But if you look at the newspaper, they have a whole corporation, and the whole corporation has about 1 million views as well. So this is the scale. So they want to just destroy the YouTubers and the bloggers and the influencers because they can't compete with them.
Yeah, that is pretty much one of their fears. They can't compete with them anymore. Some YouTube channels become so big. Yeah.
Well, you see YouTube and other services like it that are starting to branch into TV now, right? You see how they're starting to branch into TV and have TV networks, like specific channels on YouTube.
Yeah, I have a premium, so like definitely that's what it offers. When you get the premium, you get there no ads, the music app version, and which is just sort of streamlined all music, and access to all their TV shows that they have released now.
Yep.
Who's that with? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Who's that?
YouTube. They're starting to branch out into like they're gonna have certain TV programs within YouTube. So it'll be like I remember they
Okay,
had the
yeah, I
Super
caught that part. So you're saying you have subscription? You pay for the subscription?
Yeah, I dropped my TV service. It's the only thing I really pay for.
Okay, so what you're gonna have to do now is after telling everybody that, because sharing is caring, right?
That's
You're
what
gonna
I'm
have to
doing right now.
step into your stuff.
I'm looking for that one of their shows. I haven't actually watched one ever, but certainly they're easy enough to find. Originals, that's what they're called. They're called YouTube Originals.
Like the whole new, I think there's like the whole new series, Cobra Kai. I want to watch season 2.
Here, they'll give you a picture of it here.
Yeah, I know it is. That is what it's going to be, and that is what they're afraid of course. Now YouTube has become so big, and that's why big YouTubers also speak out against it. Like even like PewDiePie spoke out against Article 13. I mean,
yeah, powerful force right there.
yeah,
You should try to reach out to him.
He did do, I think it's already like 3 of his episodes or something. He spent some time talking about it. Not sure of it, how much impact it has, but at least he does it, right? So
a lot of impact.
Okay, so we got a lot of viewers on the YouTube stream. Very impressive. Nice that everyone is like sharing it around, and you can also visit the Discord server and just jump in the conversation. Like everyone is welcome. It just takes you like one click to literally be live on there. So we need all of you to speak out against this. The more speak out against this, the clearer our message gets. We know how almost the entire internet will be against this, so we want to hear from all of you, and I think the politicians need to hear from all of you. I mean, together you are a huge voice, and just make sure that they know that you exist. And we try to broadcast in all possible ways the fact that we are here. So.
Yeah, even if you gotta mail a dildo to your politician and say stop ACTA 2, do that.
Well, the people that produce, or even like people that work in the new shows like that, and Netflix are the same. Already been doing it. They have a stake in it, for certain.
China News are trying to force the entire internet to follow the Netflix and Spotify model.
What?
The people trying to push Article 13, they basically want every single website to be like Netflix or Spotify.
Sure, like a monopoly of it.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
So if someone just tuned in and doesn't even know what it is about, the quickest thing is stopacta2.org. It gives all the information. Also it gives a protest list. This also in the description below the video. You find some. I find a link to the protest map. You find a link to stopacta2.org, and you find a link to this Discord where you can just jump in and discuss. You can also post in the Discord any information you need people to know about this. We can help and work together to amplify our messages, and so we get a lot of shares, and they will all know about what's going on. And don't forget to inform your family and friends about this. That's very powerful because they are close to you. And if you are able to inform like 5 or 6 people, then it means that we are literally are getting 5 to 6 times as big, so 5 to 6 times as much reach as we have now. So just inform your family and friends about it. That's very powerful.
Well, like all my friends and family are basically from the U.S., so I don't really know how much like I could expect like my mother or my sisters or my brother or like most of my friends really do anything about it when like I'm like the only one of it who basically uses social media.
It may be wise
Well,
to
I mean,
make a separate petition from the U.S. just objecting to it.
yeah, yeah, for sure, because they're trying to affect the whole entire internet. This isn't just about the EU. This is them trying to put filters in place on US websites as well as any other country that's not affiliated with the EU. So I want some answers, bureaucrats, because who gave you that right?
Nobody. They took it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they attempt to take these rights from us, and they are betting on the idea that not enough people will protest against it, and if people don't protest
Yep.
against it, they will take it, and but they can't because we are actually with a lot more, and we are actually everywhere. So we just have to make them understand this, and as a message chat that was released earlier today, and Anan posted a message to them, and he also said, European politicians, you have to realize that if you vote in favor of this stuff, you have to know that the elections are coming, and people are not going to be happy with this, and we will all make sure that you are not going to win these elections. So be advised about that.
Won't be a second term.
Are you staking your entire political career on this? I mean, do you want to have this passed and then jump out of politics forever?
Or even worse, I mean, have dirt dug up on you because, just researching into your history, who you are as a politician and digging out old secrets.
It's true. When a politician does a slimy move, they can develop such a bad PR that people will, they won't even get, not let alone not into politics, they won't get a job like anywhere or be hated on the street for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's how severe that this year, you guys are right on the money there. That's how severe this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of the politicians will be listening to this broadcast eventually. Someone will feed it to them, and they have to realize that they depend on us for their votes, and they know that anyone who learns about these attempts to censor the internet like this is not going to be happy. And it's not the only thing you can do in your political career. There are so many that you might have a bright future in politics in front of you, and there are many things you could actually achieve. But
Going
don't
after the
waste
internet isn't a very wise one.
no, don't
But
waste it
Tim
on this.
Berners-Lee, listen to what Tim Berners-Lee said on the anniversary of the internet, 30 years. So just listen to Tim Berners-Lee, back off of going after the internet, and stop trying to influence international laws that you have no right to do because the internet's global.
I see that tweet.
Can't
Can
police
you
the
post
internet.
it?
Not successfully.
Can I see that tweet from Tim Berners-Lee, like posted here?
It's a video. Yeah, it's about like 1 or 2 minutes.
I can also send you. I'll post also the EFF link to the message Tim Berners-Lee and Jimmy Wales from Wikipedia and Mitchell Baker from the Mozilla Project, and Brewster Kale from Internet Archive, and Bruce Snyder from a cryptography expert, net neutrality expert Tim Wu. The letter they wrote against this whole thing. So they're pretty much like the people who worked so hard to build an open internet are all against this. So
I might think that they haven't even thought it through all the way. I bet they don't have a system to accommodate all the people who would breach these conditions to even prosecute them, who would object to their fines and take them through the legal process. It could grind the entire judicial systems to a halt.
Well, yeah. What are you gonna extradite somebody from the U.S. or somebody from Australia or somebody from a country that's not within the EU jurisdictions and say they broke our law? They have to pay for link tax. They have to delete this content because they won't delete it, and our citizens keep on viewing it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it would just waste just waste stuff. You know, like I mean, on their end, like on the government's end, it would just waste all their time.
Yeah, it would be a complete waste of resources for one, and then for two, I mean, it'd be a waste of money to go after people in other countries who don't follow your law in your EU jurisdiction. Again, I keep on using the word jurisdiction because that's very important. You don't have jurisdiction over other countries that aren't within the EU. I don't know why you're trying to with these directives of the internet.
Power tripping.
Yeah, for real. The internet was created as a decentralized web, so to speak. I mean, it's for everybody. It's for information, for sharing content. It's not for putting a upload filter in front of it now. I mean, this is 30 years down the road, and you're finally going to try to quote unquote fix things. No.
no, that is it. And they are treating like the EU as like some isolated place, and that is it shows a lack of technical background. These people, most of these people have. You think it's just some little place they can control and censor and limit and uh, surveil everything that goes in and out, and it is. These are dinosaurs. That should not even exist anymore in the political spectrum because the internet becomes so important to everyone right now that without having any knowledge about how the internet works, they should not even be in politics. That's my personal opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a good opinion to have.
Well, here's the thing: like most of these politicians, they have no idea how the internet even works, and then especially the bureaucrats know absolutely nothing about how the internet works because they're just seeing money and dollar signs from passing any type of law. So
They're clogging up the tubes.
yeah, how the internet is a series of
That's it. That's what it's got to be. It's just a bunch of plumbing.
yeah, and then the point of people from the United States who think it will not really affect them. I already mentioned before that if you visit sites outside of the US, there's a big chance you will actually pass. That your traffic will pass the Amsterdam Internet Exchange or the Frankfurt Internet Exchanges, which are pretty much the largest exchanges in the world. I mean, all global partners are connected there. Um, but that's not the only thing because in April 2018, Donald Trump signed the law called FOSTA, SESTA, and it is similar in that as Article 13 in the sense that it makes website owners responsible for the content they're
yep.
the users, what the users are doing on the site. And then there is another thing. The presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren literally copied part from the European Copyright Directive and used it in speeches and in her campaign. She pretty much wants to bring Article 13 to the United States for copyright.
She actually copied the whole like value gap rhetoric like exactly down to the letter.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. We know who we're not voting for and who to plaster everywhere.
But the problem is, she seems to be like the front runner right now in the. I mean, at least I think.
I'll think up some campaigns.
Yeah, the danger.
Basically, what it is we might have to end up choosing either between Warren or another 4 years of Trump, and I don't want to have to make that decision.
Yeah, and the danger is also is that other candidates might pick up on these things, and it's pretty obvious that they actually will.
And there's also the fact that Trump is an idiot, and he'll probably end up readily signing any internet destroying bill without even knowing what it is, like with Vasa Sessa. So there's still a risk that something could happen now, basically, if something ends up being put on his desk and he's not going to read or understand what it is and
put a rubber stamp on it.
What is this? Oh, it says censoring the internet. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I heard something about that. Should be a good thing.
But there was a meme there that shows Trump supporting us. Says stop ACTA 2. It's illegal.
Seems to be the real Trump, not a doppelganger.
He's endorsing it. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a logo even of Stop ACTA 2.
I agree with him though. ACTA 2 is now illegal.
It's a threat to national security.
Yeah. I didn't want to really comment on anything political, but the Warren thing was interesting that she actually used the same thing. And like Fluffy said, she literally copied word for word. It's not even her own story; she just copied it, like cheap copy paste.
And what really gets me, she is like a self-proclaimed progressive and is apparently all for like being like anti-big business, and then you have this happen, and it's like,
can you
okay, either you're a liar or you have like the worst staffers in the world. I bet on the second one because like I don't really trust anyone, so yeah, it's probably not a coincidence at all.
Well, it's like Warren took her advice from Downing Street, and they copy pasted academic report for the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So she was like, I'll take my advice from Downing Street, copy paste. There's your answer. This is my campaign.
I don't see many questions in the YouTube chat. I'm assuming everyone jumped in the Discord to talk because that's very active right now. So there are the questions about connecting with Yellow Vests. Well, in Spain and France, there are already people posting about this. It is up to them if they will, join the major protests against ACTA 2. Would be wise, of course. Yeah, we can't say they have to, but I know many of them are.
Should is the right word. You should.
Yeah, I think so too. And
it's coming down to the wire. This is our final fight in a way.
This might be the final battle for the internet in Europe right now. And
Yep. Not just the internet in Europe, but the internet as a whole. When they start implementing these things in Europe, that's going to spread to other countries as well. So we need to fight now, stop it now before it gets implemented and then other countries follow us.
We do have to give a little disclaimer on that. I mean, the Italy, Poland, Netherlands, some other countries already said they will not implement this. They don't agree with it.
Or end up being dragged to the ECJ and forced to implement it if they don't.
Yeah, but then is that might turn into like the opposite effect of what they actually want, because there are a lot of political parties in exactly these countries that have become very Eurosceptical, and they're gaining a lot of new votes. And
You know, and if they were to be sued by the EU, that would probably be a lot of red meat for their base.
I mean, if the EU sues
Saying that-
anybody, it's as simple as we're leaving the EU. Bye bye.
And it would definitely rile up a ton of people and be like, hey, these assholes are suing us because they're trying to protect you guys.
Yeah, we would have an exit of multiple countries if the EU ever got caught threatening another country. Because it's just a commission of people.
yeah, no, like that's also what I think is just that they are actually biting their own hands. It's like they're like destroying themselves with it, because they are feeding into the hands of some populists and some European Eurosceptic groups, and they will gain a lot of more votes. And I'm not saying I'm happy with that or unhappy, but I'm just saying it's an observation. It's the bad timing considering the Brexit. It's bad time considering upcoming elections, and it is a bad move for any politician right now to support this whole censorship thing. That's all I can say about it.
Well, you have the EU basically threatening Britain financially. You know, I mean, that's why they can't exit, because of financial threatening to their economy, because they want to limit exports and imports and all that, and they want to charge a certain amount of money for imports and exports. So now you have the EU also going after our internet. I mean, the EU doesn't look like very attractive to get into.
Really, at this point, I really hope that Trump actually ends up putting that 25% import tariff and like damaging the German auto industry and like
That would be interesting if Trump starts.
because like right now he's doing trade talks with the EU, and there's always a chance it might end up breaking down. And actually, I kind of hope that they do because they deserve it. Tree gets her, so does Merkel, and they deserve it. They just deserve
the US,
every bad thing.
the U.S. was issuing sanctions on countries like Britain that support Iran, and other countries in the Middle East because of their imports and exports with the country. So, yeah, make of that what you will. That's actually one of the first times in a long time of history where you have the U.S. going after the U.K. financially, that is. But yeah, with sanctions and all that jazz.
Yeah, the UK citizens are, of course, as always, being made scared by some forces that say that they will lose all their free trade agreements and all of this stuff. The UK already has more free trade agreements than the actual EU has, so they have most of their trade is directly with the country of Norway, and those are not even in the EU. So I don't know what that is about. Yeah, allow these people to vote for themselves and accept what they vote for without scaring them. That's all. Pretty much it.
Well, it's about holding EU countries over Britain's head, so to speak, with increased deals because they're not in the EU club, so to speak. So imports and exports would be more money for them to trade with countries that are within the EU, and it's literal just financial hostage of a country, so to speak, because they're overcharging them because they're no longer in the club.
Yeah, free trade agreements in the Eurozone have existed for much, much longer than the actual European Union. we have the Schengen agreement here in this area with Belgium, Netherlands, Germany. There is an agreement already for free trade that will exist also without any European Union. What the European politicians should realize is that they should not make do these weird moves shortly before elections, and they should care a little more about what the people actually want in the different countries. And many of the countries very clear that they won't agree with these actual articles. So what is this going to cause? You are going to cause a legal debate between several major countries of the European Union and the European Parliament itself. Is this what you're going to do? Because you're talking about an institute that has 1% of the receives 1% on average from national budgets, and it is relatively tiny compared to the nations as an institute still. So what is your goal behind all of this, and will you actually make it attractive to be in the European Union, or will you make it a bad thing to be there? Will it mean like your internet is censored if you're in the European Union, or will it mean like you have a free and open internet and access to the knowledge of 28 different countries, which have a lot of knowledge to give to each other? Like, there is a choice you can make. A free and open internet will actually help a big Europe if you want, if that is your goal. So, think about it. I think. Think about the consequences.
Yeah, definitely. Those consequences can be everlasting, and who knows if this passes, if we can go back and fight it. I mean, if it passes, it passes, and things are going to be forever changed.
They would turn the most of the internet into like an old text-based game, just only words.
Yeah.
Can you post an article on Elizabeth Warren using the text from ACTA 2?
I've posted it right now in the general chat for you. Make it easy.
Yeah, you should probably follow a guy named Mike Masnick on Twitter. He's a guy who's been writing these articles on Tech Dirt about Article 13. So
I'm pretty sure I just didn't see that.
So I'll show you real quick how similar it is. I'll post this real quick in the chat too. So that's really the important part of the article. So I posted it, and you can see how similar it is. It's shocking. Like Fluffy said too, it's literally almost a copy.
Wow.
Citation would be awesome.
Well, that wordplay, changing around certain words, yeah, that's that's pretty funny.
That's right up their alley.
The EU always uses these different.
No, I was actually just reading this, just glancing at it, and I read it as that to pay content creators, artists, musicians, actors, new houses, and their journalists.
Is it amazing? Really?
So Elizabeth Warren wants to give us new houses, right? Houses.
Go ahead, Amaru.
Sorry, I wasn't speaking. It's just I got it on my control. I need to change it. So sorry very much. I'm creating mens at the moment.
I thought maybe your mic was acting weird or something. I saw it popping up, so just looking at these flashing lights.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was on my graphics program and just creating new mens to wake people up.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to join the chat, just jump in the voice chat. It's fine. We can continue to talk for a few hours, no problem. But feel free to jump in
Well,
too.
not me. My laptop's about to die, so I'll be leaving you guys shortly.
I want to say something. I just saw some people talking about trying to avoid the Yellow Vest protest on the 23rd. Why on earth would you want to do that?
Some people are afraid that some people are afraid that like they don't want the save your internet stop after 2 minutes to be associated with any political group, and the mainstream media has.
Well, the Yellow Vests are not a political group as such. It's a grassroots movement, much more so than Stop ACTA. So that is just stupid. That is the people you want to hook up with if you have any IQ.
It's a political movement.
Yeah, but like the thing is, like they're afraid of getting negative coverage from the mainstream media has called the Yellow Vest right-wing populists, even though that's not true at all. And they don't want the whole movement to be associated with that because
Well, that's just stupid. You don't actually know what the Yellow Vests stand for, even.
They're basically afraid of the news media, like escalating from going from the whole bots and Google shells narrative to like saying, "Oh, you people are right-wing populists now."
That is bullshit. It's media BS. If you want to actually know the truth, just ask a Yellow Vest person. You know, we have 25 demands on a list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can read these demands yourself, and then you'll know more about what the Yellow Vests want. Of course, breaking up media monopolies and such, regulating these giants is one of the big issues. So, yeah, don't fall into the trap of media trying to divide and conquer.
Yeah, but what Fluffy
That's pretty
means,
much what I'm saying here.
You're right about that. But what Fluffy means is that is of course the media doing this. It's not us or it's not Fluffy out there doing this. It's just the media trying to push this narrative. And some people in these movements are afraid that media will then use the same techniques against us too, put us in the box. And yeah.
They don't want they don't want the whole they don't want like the vote to turn into people who are against Article 14 hate the EU, and then like trying to pressure MEPs into voting yes on Article 13 because if you don't support the EU, and they don't want like it to become that.
Well,
story into that.
Well, obviously, any movement against certain EU laws will always attract a lot of anti-EU people too. There's no, you can't avoid that because it's about the EU law, and there will always be nationalist forces or just anti-EU forces who will not agree to any EU law because any more EU laws will mean more restriction to nation states and stuff. So you will always attract them, and but that doesn't mean that the internet doesn't belong to everyone. I mean, yeah.
Yep. But always remember that a provocateur can be paid whatever odd sum just to wear a yellow vest and to go out there and wreak havoc on a institution by just smashing the window or setting cars on fire or any type of action like that.
So can people in ACTA 2 protests. That goes anyway. So
I mean, anybody can do it, but I mean, in most cases,
the point here is that we're the ones bringing the topic this time, and they're the ones carrying our signs. So we'll give them something to put on the sign. You understand? And that's the whole issue. Sharing is caring, people. The more the merrier, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I agree with allowing all movements in. I mean, and this is just again personal opinion, but like I said, like the internet it belongs to everyone, so also to the yellow vests and whatever they want to.
Your enemy's enemy is your friend in this context. We just have one chance to stop this.
Well, we also work with, like, let's say, like the Pirate Party, for example, and we work with them because they are also for free sharing of information and stopping restrictions on the internet. But of course, the Stop ACTA 2 movement has nothing to do with the economic ideas, for example, of the Pirate Party, or if they allow people to have guns or not, or whatever. That's not what we are all about. So,
well, at the end of the day, it's going to be a big discussion about a lot of stuff, and it's going to be up to us, the people, to solve it. Either we do it regionally or on, a globalist scale as such. We'll have to solve it anyway. Or we can just hire some politicians to do it, and we can blame them when everything goes to hell.
Yeah, Fluffy.
I just want you guys to know that I do actually support the yellow vests, and I'm actually saying that probably would be actually a good idea if we were to protest alongside them, because we already have a recognition. But I'm also saying that there's also legitimate reasons why some people kind of think that's a bad idea, and I'm not saying they're being idiots for saying that it might not be a great idea.
I can just see that they don't want any negative condensation associated with it.
Anything that attacks the media, like Mark said, will get negative attention. And that is pretty much what this is about here. They do not like us. They don't like our narrative. When it comes to trying to stop this bullshit article or trying to get those demands through, so they're going to lie about us. They're going to drag our name through the dirt and everything like that. So be prepared for it. It's war. Thousands of people have already been injured on the streets as such. Okay, it's all in the same context. Don't trick yourself to think you're outside that. That those people are fighting for your rights.
Yeah, you're in a very difficult situation in the sense that it only becomes positive to affiliate with other groups. At the moment, the paradigm shifts with the general public. That the general opinion shifts of the general public, and it is difficult because the media controls so much. So for both things, some things can be said. I mean, what Fluffy said, some groups are afraid of that because they know that media puts you in a box. And on the other hand, I agree with Thunder Bear too that yeah, we were talking about the Yellow Fest, like in France. Did you see how many people were on the street? You're talking about millions of people. There's like literally millions of people all over the country, and does it matter that much that the media ignores them? The people will be there. I mean, they're with us too if it is about their human rights, for sure.
Yeah, you said the magic word, or the two magic words, human rights. And that's what this is about. It's human rights versus corporate, laws and greed and whatever. They want control. We want freedom. It's been like the same fight the last 500 years.
Well, as long as we make clear that the Stop Acta 2 thing and Save Your Internet thing is about stopping these specific articles, about this specific goal, and that we don't really care what the other opinions of other groups are, but that we are fighting for the internet of everyone, and that all these groups, if they want to join to this fight for their internet.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Then we have to communicate with them and let them know the stakes here. They're already a gigantic movement. So that's the whole thing, and they have the whole media monopoly thing on the agenda. Saving the internet, should of course be part of it, and a lot of them are already on our side. Just Google Yellow Vest Stop ACTA and see what you find. There's more and more connections coming there, but of course it's all about this compartmentalization thing. People are so used to being in bulks and in gangs and cliques and here and there, and those things are not supposed to overlap, but they do. It's kind of the real world we're living in. So to get together, people, and stop this evil madness.
Okay, well, that is a clear message. I don't like living in fear either, and well, I do get it. I mean, especially if you have political people involved and stuff, that they are always afraid to lose their partners and they lose their stuff, their credibility, because they don't want to be part of an idea that gets targeted. But there is an easy solution, and that is internet belongs to everyone. That's one message, and the second message is everyone is allowed to help to stop censoring the internet. Even the worst kind of people are allowed to help doing such things. So there is no way anyone who wants to protect the internet can be discredited by anything because some other group also wants to do it. I mean, it's just not possible. But yeah, I do get it. So. Yeah. This silence on air, but there's so much information being posted in the chat.
It's a meditation, natural meditation. So I guess we exhausted the topic, and there's nothing left to do but save the internet.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sure there's more stuff. I heard something about the directive getting, or rather the EU itself getting some backlash on the video they were presenting this directive in, which they hired some firm to do, and it was all pro Article 13, and when it was supposed to be just information. It was pretty much propaganda. I don't know if you caught that. Just something I saw in the news.
Yeah, I know about Fluffy. You know about that video too, right?
You mean the one that the EU Parliament released that was actually contracted by like a newspaper?
Yeah, there was something with like a video they spread and they had like Europe for creators all over it. Like,
they already made up their minds.
It was slanted one side. I didn't see that one, but I don't get all the European feeds.
yeah, so there is this group that's also like they call themselves an activist group too, right? They represent the creators, so the copyright owners, and they say it's for the creators, and then they specifically try to push the narrative that it is to protect the small creators against their stuff being stolen, and So the propaganda video of this European Parliament that should be unbiased because it is neutral until the voices the vote actually happened. That video contained a lot of stuff to actually promote this whole thing, and it was very shocking. And they got a lot of
Sounds like
backlash.
an American political campaign almost. It was all there. Instead of a public service announcement, it was support the directive.
It's all inside stuff. It's not meant for us. It's meant for the fat cats inside the EU. The
totally.
Politicians.
I can see them doing what you're saying. Just put something that everybody thinks they would want on it, right, as a label.
They can talk about this in the future and say, look at all the good stuff we did, like saving the internet. They're going to be saying that.
Yeah.
They're trying to save the internet from companies that failed to innovate over the last 3 decades.
Yeah, that's pretty much what is going on here.
Saving the internet from the pesky truth.
Because they were unable to manage themselves, their presence on the internet, and they were like overrun by normal people, YouTubers with 200 gazillion subscribers.
I still can't believe that Axel Voss literally said that YouTube shouldn't be allowed to exist.
That was interesting. For
Either
sure. He said that yesterday, I think, or today. Yeah.
Who is this guy, and why are we even talking about him?
Isn't there one in Paris that's like the second most rated one? Begins with a V. I can't remember its name. See.
Okay, but to start, Axel Voss is the guy behind the CDU, CSU, who are pushing for this mostly. He's one of the big guys attempting to bring it in. He has quite some history. I already mentioned it earlier on this broadcast. He's by activists, he's well known for attempting some other stuff that's very disturbing. Around the Snowden leaks, he tried to reduce our privacy rights because Snowden, of course, embarrassed them, and so he tried to implement, I think it was 273 or something amendments to European privacy law for normal citizens to reduce our privacy on the internet and in general. I think most failed, but he actually did attempt it, and he was well known for that back then in the European Parliament. And he also defended big corporations surrounding the Panama leaks. He defended big corporations because they wanted to make it all transparent what these big corporations were hiding for their taxes and stuff.
So
he stopped
it sounds like any other guy doing his job as being paid by these rich corporations to push their cause. It's not him as such. It's the system that allows people to do this we should be addressing, and not run around after these talking heads and these demonized people. Oh, boss, we need to get him. No, we need to get the fucking system that allows this to be a reality.
Yeah, that is a symptom of politics, that we all start focusing on the talking heads, I guess. But, yeah.
First, we need to outlaw lobbying as such. Make sure that the decisions that are made are not influenced by big corporations. And we shouldn't actually have politicians, quote unquote, making those decisions for us. We should be voting on stuff, And again, letting EU make laws that affect, regions all over. That doesn't really make any sense when a lot of these laws do not affect the politicians, only the people living in, the different regions. So I understand why people want to leave the EU. That is pretty obvious. Of course, my country never entered because we saw it as madness. We had 2 elections, votes, everybody voted no. So we stuck with that. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
People getting the word out on this network. I think they would have a lot of stake.
That's very good. The Vimeo is a big network for sure.
Couldn't
Well,
think of its name. I don't know why.
Tumblr too. We should also hit that. It still has like 800 million users. They've been cutting down on a lot of people too. A lot more restrictions on their website.
Yeah, I noticed that actually. Not. Yeah, it doesn't seem nearly as popular over here as it used to be too. For some reason.
Seeing how it operates is very similar to Twitter, but it is still a lot larger than Twitter. I don't know how they ever got that large, but it is. I saw in the estimations it had like 800 million users. I think it's more now, but they operate very similar to Twitter with the whole hashtag thing, and so it could actually work very well to get viral fast. Like people search for a hashtag and they will be able to find you if you just keep posting about it.
Their automated systems are already suppressing the hashtag.
That is true. That is true. I have to say that Twitter does allow us a lot. We are actually doing very well on Twitter. I did see that there's some people claimed about being shadow banned and stuff. Usually it's when they make too many posts about something that they get shadow banned. I advise them, if you make a lot of posts and they're very similar, make sure that you always change it a bit. Don't make the exact same posts, because their algorithms do actually pick up on that and they will actually block you. Go change a few words in your posts, and then you can reply to everyone who is in or even remotely talks about Article 13, Article 11, or about internet freedom, or about right now today it was Facebook down. I mean, I also made a few posts about that. I was saying, like, if you care about Facebook being down, then imagine the entire internet being censored. So did have some other positive news that for a protest in Amsterdam, a lot of pirates have said that they will actually come. They are very concerned by this, so we're expecting a huge number to attend this Amsterdam protest. If you're listening to this, Netherlands is not so big. You can just come to Amsterdam and we can meet there. And I'll probably be streaming the live stream, so you will notice me just walking around there, live streaming. And you're welcome to say whatever you want on the stream. Meanwhile, protests are popping up everywhere. Cyprus was a new one today, I think. I saw in Greece several new protests. I'm talking about the 23rd of March. That is the big protest date. Find all about it on stopacta2.org. and all Europe is planning to go to the street together. And also notice 21st of March, Amaru already said it before, many websites will go on black. They will go dark in support of our movement. And but feel free and actually it's a request to do this. Please message other websites to join Wikipedia and other sites who will go dark, and ask them to go dark too. It's very important. It shows a message, and it makes sure we don't need the media to promote us anymore. It shows a big message to all the internet users. They will visit their Wikipedia article. They will visit their favorite news site, and it will be down, and it will be a protest message, either linking to a map or asking people to go to the streets. And this will create our own press release without any support from the media. This is our strength. We did so in 2012 with ACTA, and we will do so again with ACTA 2. There's so many people joining the server right now. Every few minutes, someone new joins. You can join the voice chat on the left side. You can just click on the word "general" with a little microphone with a little speaker next to it, and you will be on air like instantly. So don't hesitate to do that, because this is actually the time you can speak out for your internet. And we will actually broadcast each day. Tomorrow we broadcast again, and we broadcast each day till the protest, and we will stream directly from the protests. And dependable on how the votes go, we will protest. We will stream after that again and again, and we will continue to attract attention to this with everything we can do. And we hope you guys can help us with that.
Julia just came out with a statement, like saying, like, Axel Voss is really hurting the pro Article 13 campaign, saying such stupid things this close to the vote.
Can't post to Facebook yet. Just thought of an idea to use for the American side. Is it the Uncle Sam with the Guy Fawkes mask with the "We need you to save your memes"? Trying to make that up.
Yeah, I do think you're right, Fluffy, with the thing. Or that Julia Rita is actually right about him only hurting the campaign, because yeah, it is done in such a way that it shows so little respect to the normal internet users. It is such a disturbing way of promoting things and acting like it's completely normal what they are doing, that they're not restricting our rights, and being like. It is such a disinfo campaign that it is shocking to actual normal people, and I think he is hurting.
I just don't understand why Axel suddenly stopped lying this close to the final vote.
Say that again.
I don't understand why you'd stop lying this close to the final vote. You only had to wait like 2 more weeks, and then he could start saying the stupid shit about his true intentions.
Oh yeah. That is.
I'm starting to think that there is something seriously psychologically wrong with him.
Yeah, why would you say like such a few days before the vote? You say like, I want YouTube to be gone entirely. Like, how'd you say that?
Like, there is something seriously wrong with the guy.
He seems to be like detached from from the rest of the world. Like, he like he doesn't actually. I feel like he doesn't actually even read the responses people have today. Like, ignores it or whatever. And he just spends all his time being obsessed with his own few buddies who support this or something. Like,
he's obviously lobbying for rich people. But I wonder if this Article 13 will have some retroactive effect, because, you know, all of Anonymous almost uses Guy Fawkes, you know, something that belongs to Guy Fawkes masks, something that belongs to Warner Brothers, is copyrighted as such. So that means, you know, a lot of Facebook pages, groups, etc., and profiles would, you know, potentially be deleted as a result. Just a thought.
exactly. No, you're right.
They don't even care though, because like they don't use the internet like we do. So that, like, even if they destroy the internet, it's not going to affect them too much, because they don't really even use it, so they don't care.
No, but yeah, you're right, and it is a fair point. I mean, anything related to showing like masks, if it's a Warner Bros. A mask or other mask, yeah, it will be blocked, of course. So every anon who is listening to this, do you actually realize this? That any video you make that contains a Guy Fawkes mask copyrighted by Warner
And
Bros.
not
will be
only
blocked.
that, the actual Anonymous icon or logo itself, the original one, is a parody of the UN logo, which of course belongs to the UN.
Yeah. It was,
And there's also the fact that the anonymous masks come from the movie V for Vendetta. So
that is a double copyright on that. Yeah, there's also Warner Bros. By the way, that is same group. Yeah, the logo you mentioned, that this was actually made as a troll by someone we know back then, and it is yes, on purpose. It contains the UN logo, but you're right. It'll probably be also also restricted. Yeah, it's a very valid point. We didn't even mention it before yet, but for Anons listening, yeah, the Warner Brothers will stop you from uploading your shit. So,
Exactly. Is somebody starting to see a pattern here? We just lost like 150 very important pages, like you know, Police the Police is one, like We Are Change,
Free Talk
stuff like
Project.
that was all taken down. And now they're going to put in more stuff to get at the stuff they couldn't get at earlier. And yeah, they're gunning for us, and they're going to separate us and make sure we don't communicate like we do. That's what they're doing now. They're shutting the fucking thing down because they're trying to see us as a threat. You know? And then I mean all of us, because we're communicating. You know? There's no coincidence that this comes now in the wake of this big protest movement in Europe. So yeah, like a few people tried to warn us a couple of years ago. They're actually trying to shut us off, or rather down, cut us off entirely.
You know, we've been facing this for a while now, Tom the Bear. But yeah, these are new tools for them to shut us down. However, I don't fear so much for us. I fear more for the normal people, especially because of Article 11 and their limited access to information in the near future. And I'm just thinking about all the new kids who are being born now, and 10 years from now, their education will be limited to what certain companies present to them.
Yeah, it won't be education, it'll just be consumerism. That's what, you know, this machine is trying to do. You know, make everything into, you know, buy and sell. And that's what they will teach kids too, to love products and to want products and to nag their parents to get stuff, and the cycle continues. This is well documented.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm reading again about people saying, asking questions about if Facebook is down. Yeah, Facebook. I'm assuming it's Facebook Ireland that is down all day. It gives the usual maintenance message. They confirmed that it was not about denial of service attacks. You have to realize that this doesn't say that it's not about any hack, but it is not about a denial of service, is what they said.
Yeah, it would be very hard to hack something as decentralized as Facebook. Anyway, this is probably because they're changing up something again, and they're just keeping quiet about it. I would be worried, because if Facebook is shut down, that means they probably shut themselves down.
So we know that the Facebook lobby, there was a few articles were released about this, that the Facebook has been lobbying in secret behind the scenes with the European Union in favor of this whole Article 13, Article 11 thing. So unlike Google, YouTube, they are on the other side. They are actually trying to get this implemented. Why? I don't really know, because Facebook is also alive because people are linking to material. They are also alive because people are posting memes. I think there must be some kind of deal they already have with the European Union.
In the monetary context, this makes a lot of sense, because it means everything will be monetized. It will be more money coming in either way, because at the end of the day, the consumer wants, and they will pay to get. That's how it works. It's not going to be everybody's going to be butthurt. That's just a handful of anonymous people. The rest will gladly pay up. The next generation will think that's just normal anyway.
That is what I also fear for the next generation. And like I said, like people being born now and they reach the age of 10, they find their education online, because probably 10, 15 years from now, more and more education will be online. It will be through the internet. And yeah, and like you're saying, yeah, they will think it's normal. It's part of life. I mean, nowadays, young people use Spotify, and it was mentioned before in our days we used systems like Napster and stuff. And now it is Spotify, and they're very willing to pay $1 or so for a song, and yeah, that is that form of paradigm shift. But we should work on making sure that the paradigm doesn't shift from wanting a free and open internet towards accepting a censored internet that is all used as a surveillance system against people. I mean, because that's pretty much the end result that's going to happen now if we allow this to
Then
pass.
we'll have to address more than just one or two articles. We'll have to address the whole system as such.
Fair enough. Yeah, that is also why we chose the word ACTA too. There are some other groups who focus mainly on Article 13. Some groups focus on Article 11. As Stop ACTA 2, we decided to combine all these articles and fight against the entire copyright directive. And we simply named it ACTA to make it to make people aware that it is very similar in many ways to the ACTA 1 law in 2012, and that is just again a new attempt to take control over the free internet.
Imagine the whole goal is to kill all user-generated content, because Axel Voss literally said that if websites are sharing copyrighted content, then maybe they shouldn't be allowed to exist at all. YouTube, like, no more DeviantArt, no more like anything basically that we've come to use over the last 15 years or so. Because apparently I just don't understand the whole mentality of, like, how the hell will it benefit society at all to lock your content behind, like, barbed wire and armed guards? Like, how does that help anyone except for just hoarding things until the end of time? That is like the opposite of what copyright was supposed to do. It was supposed to, and copyright was originally intended to, like have more art created, not to, like, lock it all away in, like, Fort Knox. Therefore, just, like, cause, like, cultures to completely stagnate. Like, that was not the intention of copyright at all. And it's been, like, mutated into this really grotesque weapon that big companies are using to, like, hurt normal people.
Especially IP copyrights. A lot of the people that they'll come up with the idea, and the company just has it because they're hired and signed a contract. And I find that it just totally, like you guys were saying, discourages people to want to come and make something. Nobody's going to want to make something if it's not even theirs.
And what really brings my blood to a boil is the fact that they don't like fair use and they're trying to kill it. So it's like, it's okay for, like, professional content creators that have, like, agents and, like, news agencies to use content and content and fair use, but we're not allowed to. I mean, how is that fair?
Yeah, the total double standard. That's the biggest thing that got me concerned about everything here was that eliminating that for educational purposes. Like, even if they were to totally just apply it to the entertainment industry, it wouldn't be as half bad. Taking away
And that's
from
also very disgusting how they're trying to, like, attack the way education has evolved in the 21st century, because, like, all throughout, like, middle school and high school and college, for me, like, PowerPoints using content and fair use were used on a daily basis to teach lessons, and it's like they're basically declaring war on the way education has evolved into the 21st century.
totally.
And
That's totally how I've seen it too. That just was the norm. That was the general consensus, and they're if for educational, everything should be a go. I mean, it's just shouldn't be held back.
I just have a feeling that one of the goals for this whole thing is to take back the media monopoly they used to have up until the end of the 1980s, and it's all about control. They want to control us. They want to control what we think and what we do, and they want to stop us from questioning the people who really control society, which are, like, big businesses. So yeah, they kind of want to create the world that George Orwell ended up outlining in 1984, just making people so stupid that they don't even question all the bad shit that the government and big corporations are doing.
Yeah.
Stupid to resist, and they won't resist because they'll just believe whatever is told without a second thought. Seriously, knowledge
really needs to get stopped in Europe before it can stop the spread of knowledge. Knowledge is free, so it's got to stay that way, most certainly. I look at it as a direct attack against that concept myself.
Do you see there is a French video being posted now? Oh yeah, real quick, a request. We still need translators for Stop Acta 2 for a few languages. Join the Discord server. You see it in the description. Many languages we already got, but we need a few more, and could use your help on that. So if you are very skilled at translating, or if you just have a different native language than English, then join in and visit the translation section and to help with that, please. Because it's also necessary for a few videos. I think people have been asking for that to have it in their own native language. It's because it's easier for the spread it to locals. We have 28 countries or something in the EU, and that means we have a lot of different languages. Some countries have 3 or 4 languages, and not everyone is so well educated with in the English language as others. So thanks for that.
So, is anyone willing to read the tea leaves yet on whether Article 13 is going to end up being passed or rejected like 2 weeks from now? So I'm just curious. I mean,
You want to know how we feel about it? If it will be rejected,
That's
yeah.
up to us.
I don't know enough of the factors, but I would have faith that it's going to be rejected.
If we raise enough of a hell about this before they vote, they might vote no.
Have a hard, like, unless you want to completely like destroy all support for the EU. I don't see why in their right mind they would do that, because they would have to be like, I don't know, there would have to be something like extremely wrong with the system if this would be allowed to pass, and including the people who are voting, because like
When it comes to support for the
like,
EU, yeah, the EU is already, thousands and thousands of agreements, especially economic agreements, that tie these countries into each other. It's not just we don't support you anymore. They pretty much have the power concentrated there, and they can pass laws as they want. If we don't do something about it, pretty soon they will just be a dictatorship. It won't be any support or non-support. Just look at Britain trying to Brexit, but they can't because they don't have a deal on the table. It's just bullshit. They just had a vote right now that said they had to delay it again because they didn't have a vote. No, they didn't have a deal on the table other than Theresa May's deal, and nobody wants that. So, like I said, it's not that easy. They do have power.
For the sake of the politicians, honestly, I feel they should not make they should make sure it doesn't pass, because there are upcoming elections, and whoever is going to vote in favor of this now will find a lot of backfire at the upcoming elections. I'm very sure of that.
and also like it will make basically everyone younger than 30 or 35's like it'll be it'll be a backstab basically. And it'll end up hurting the people who actually supported the EU, and basically say, fuck you, your support means nothing to us. And
How many people have actually heard of this Article 13 even? Go out and ask 10 random people on the street right now if they know what Article 13 is.
Yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is if they pass this, it'll be a PR disaster they'll never be able to recover from. They will have to live with that decision for the rest of the next
I think that is a very wrong assessment. I think only a handful of people even know what the article is about, and they're going to be passing that like they do everything else, mostly quietly, and we will just live with the consequences. That is pretty much how it's worked up to now.
Once, like, they will know once, like, YouTube and Twitter and all the other American websites basically go, we can't operate in this region anymore, and it's shut down for them. People will know
that is something they already know, you know. But then the law has already passed, and how do you backpedal that? People need to work on that up front before the law actually gets passed. This is the trick. This is how they do it every time. Just look at the amounts of bullshit laws they passed over the last 10 years.
Point is, they'll have their work more than cut out for them with PR once people can't use the internet anymore in Europe. Like, how are they supposed to talk their way out?
Well, they have done a lot of similar stuff, and people end up just paying and shutting up, and they control the narrative anyway. So
I have a hard time seeing how, like, people who use the internet all the time are going to just shut up and take it if this.
Well, people just pay. Haven't you seen this? The internet costs 10 times as much now as it did when it started. As such, people still pay and pay and pay and pay. That's just how it is.
Yeah, you're right about the Article 13. At least over here, it's not. It's like just not spoke of really at all, other than the people that sort of identify as woke. Other than that, it's not on the mainstream. Just a blip.
I just have a hard time believing that, like, no one is going to care once they can't use the internet anymore. I just have a hard time believing that they'll believe whatever lie comes out of Brussels, like explaining what happened. People in Europe are completely different from people who live in the U.S., and I just can't see how people are just going to shut up and take it. I just can't.
Well, you have to understand that most people don't know how the political system inside the EU even works. So that this stuff comes, they don't know who to complain to, or that they don't even have, enough reach on the internet to actually organize any protest. So just look at us. We've been doing this for years, and we're still struggling to get one law stopped. So this should actually tell you something, that the people controlling this are not like the handful of the people in the know, or anonymous people or whoever. It's the consumers, the people with the money in their pockets that go out and spend all day. They control this. And if you want to reach somebody, you have to reach them.
Exactly.
So you'll have to scare them by telling them that they won't have something fun they enjoy in the future. And they don't care about news or the truth. They care about cuddly stuff, and mobile phones.
That's why you got to hit the mainstream, because that's where they are. That's where their eyes
Is
are.
that the mainstream media is trying to cover this up because they think they're going to get a really nice paycheck if Article 11 passes.
True, but my stuff isn't getting. I mean, not like the TV mainstream. That's even dying out. But Facebook and the major social media platforms, where they're not really editing this. It doesn't look like, to me at least. I mean, they might be doing. They are doing the behind the scenes, probably. Deboosting and whatnot, but they're not just blacking it out. So it's pretty much the number one reason why I'm on there, is because I have to get the word out to these people. That's where their eyes are. They're not looking anywhere else. They're not looking anywhere else. And if they don't see it, they're not going to know about it until after the fact, and that's going to be too late.
Yeah, they won't like actually televise the revolution, right? That's not what they're going to do. We shouldn't hope for that, but we can actually do the other way around. We are actually getting websites to go black, and those are also mainstream sites. I mean, there is probably 80-90% of people will visit Wikipedia at least once in every few days. So they will see that it's down and will be on black. And so will other sites be. And YouTube is actually with us on this, at least with against Article 13. So you can expect from the 21st that YouTube will also contain a message against this. So if you have YouTube and Wikipedia, then you already reach a lot of normal people, so to speak, with this. So we're not entirely alone. I don't feel so. There is actually some hope. So
yeah, that's a hope.
Yeah.
There's a light at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, and as Fluffy asked, do you think it will pass? I don't think it will pass. At least Article 13. They will try to pass the other articles because a lot of groups who protest focus on Article 13. And if we get that one out, they will probably try to pass the rest of it. And they will say, like, now it's no longer harmful to the internet. And while Article 11 will be just as harmful. So that is one big risk we are facing. And that's why I feel, and I hope listeners listen to this, that don't just focus on Article 13 because it is the entire directive. And if we stop Article 13, and I think we will, then we have the other articles to worry about. And they might attempt to add Article 13 later, right? When I feel the time is better for it. So
get them out of power.
Ultimately. Nothing would be better than that, but that's a big step.
Democracy. That is the future.
Yeah, direct democracy is the only way that it's ever really going to have everlasting peace. Brings about understanding. People can all talk and work out the problems. Even if they don't get their way, they get to understand why and, not have a chip on their shoulder as a result. If you don't have a voice, you're just getting angry.
No, you're right, and that's also this more and more this Orwellian control system. I know some Americans were shocked when I showed them the pictures of the average train station in my country, where you cannot even go on, you cannot even visit the train station without putting like an RFID thing through like what is it? Like a gate, like an automated gate. It will only open when you have the RFID thing, and
yeah, that's what they call it. The mark of the lovers. No, I mean beast.
Yeah, it is a mark. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like religious, but I do feel how many religious people think like this for sure. Because it is not just the traveling; it is being used for so many things right now already. And yeah.
The smartphone.
It brings to mind these old secret societies from Pythagoras and these Greeks that had like symbols embedded in their hands or like tattooed in their hands as secret or rather initiate keys to open doors for them. It's always been a part of that, like a secret handshake or some secret code word or some secret mark, that kind of thing. So it's the elite doing its thing. If you want to be part of the inner circle, you'll have to get an ID chip and you'll have to play the rules or play the game by the rules and such.
It's true. That's the way it's going to head. The smartphones over here are already set up like that. They already have it. They just so many people I see have everything in it. They don't use their wallet anymore. Their IDs in it. Their bank cards are in it. It's just everything for them all in one device. So they just shrink that down into something smaller, and then you're just right from the I don't right from all the stories we've been told.
Yeah, and then we'll have, those who have access and those who do not have access. And pretty soon we'll have that brave new world that, all those Huxley try to warn us about. And yeah,
Oh, it's
I
very
I
dangerous because it will have, like you said, the administrator for all of those chips or all of the phones. They can control everything now. You have everything in their control. It's all centralized, highly centralized system. All they got to do is push the buttons, and there goes your whole life.
yeah, exactly. Just like money works. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to think about how does this how do some elite look at normal people? And there is this quote from George Orwell's Animal Farm, and it says, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again. But already it was impossible to say which was which. Man serves the interest of no creature except himself."
Yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah.
What I find very relative to that to America is that the whole point too, they forgot what was written on the wall. The pigs kept saying, and then they made up the rules, and all the animals forgot what was actually started the whole thing.
Yeah, and every time they protested, the pigs would get the sheeps, right, to protect them,
Yeah,
and they would keep the rest in line.
yeah, they should re-bring that into the curriculum, but of course not. That's too much. Just the wrong ideas to get into a kid's head.
Yeah, so there is a 1984 that's very popular among activists, but I feel that Animal Farm is one that shows the dynamics much better.
I agree with you there. Actually, it does. Even with the horse, the loyal worker, he just kept, I believe in it no matter what to the end, no matter what to the end, and they made him into glue or whatever. They didn't have no respect for him at all. None.
Exactly. So I don't know what the future will be. I do know that right now, just to say it again, we have less than 2 weeks left to stop this. About 10 days to join the protests and to promote the protests. And the quickest thing is.
And don't forget that there's the blackout day for websites is the 21st, 2 days before the protests.
Yeah. And that is to give us, to pull us over the edge, right? To give us one last boost of power. And hopefully it will work to awaken some people to join the protest last minute. And but it already helps. Just tell your friends about it, especially if you're in any of the European countries. Tell your local friends about it. If you plan to go to a protest, just ask your friends to go with you and ask your family to go with you. Even if they don't even care, just ask them to go and explain them on the way to it. Like this, we have to show the people who think they are in power that with how many we actually are. And this might be the final battle for the internet. And
Definitely.
yeah, and for announced listening.
Gonzalo zei Ifpeda Littermoor wat voor 128 to have 640.
More, but for 128 to have 640.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Just found the whole Texas beach thing a bit annoying.
So I want to say for announced listening, this might, it might really be the last battle. Last chance. We have to save the internet, and you know who is supposed to be the final boss of the internet. Better make sure that you show it this time.
Yep, time to gear up and handle it.
Yeah.
It's like you guys said earlier on the show, all the traffic is it goes everywhere around the world, and the hubs, all the central hubs are in Europe, and it was already proven and established in courts of Germany that where the physical location of the devices and machines are is where the laws will be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Time to bring a world of justice to this.
Yeah, and for Americans listening, if it passes in the EU, it will also happen in the USA, of course, and you can also.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. It's fine.
There's no less than 2 politicians in the U.S. proposing similar measures to Article 13 in the U.S. Elizabeth Warren and Greg Walden.
Yeah, and then we heard Elizabeth Warren doing the same thing, and we know, for example, Donald Trump signed the FOSTA SESTA bill in April 2018, which is already very similar to Article 13. Like I have to repeat this, and he'll have no problem implementing the other things too. So just saying, because I know some of you are posting all this QAnon stuff. Like Trump will save us against this. No, he's actually signing the same bills. He has no problem doing it. And I don't really care about politics. I'm convinced that all parties will be actually subject to this. And if you're talking about Democrats and Republicans, the Democrats and Republicans are on the same side in the European Parliament. They sit next to each other and vote in favor of this. The people opposing this in the European Parliament, the Greens, the Pirates, and some of the Social Democrats, those are sitting uh, opposite to them. But the Republicans and the Democrats are one group in the European Union. They are not separate.
Yeah, the left and the right are different in Europe than they are here. Like the analogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you also have a Green Party, I guess. In here, they are just, I guess, a little better represented in Parliament. They're a little bigger. But yeah, but you explained it perfectly. Most of these networks you use in the United States, they route their traffic through the European Union too.
They'll be directly, if you're right, directly affected right away. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah, because they will probably attach them to these big exchanges to screen all the traffic, or they will attach them to the transatlantic cables. And we're unsure how they will implement it, because there were stories about a big AI and the one big system that will do it. And we know there is a budget available to them of 20 billion in 2 years, and then there will be more money available to them again after that. So the money is there to build it, whatever they want. So, and in the case of the Amsterdam Internet Exchange, which is still the largest internet exchange in Europe, the companies connected to there just saying that this Akamai, for example, that owns the MSN, that hosts the MSN network, Microsoft network, and Skype, and all these things. You have many others being attached to it. The Facebook is connected there with double connections. You have pretty much anything is connected to there. So yeah, you
It's important
try
to speak
to.
up on this side. Anyone's are going to have to speak up and unite and help you guys for sure. Just we need to make up some kind of a fishy auto page like where Aeon accounts could at least it looks really good. Like in addition to the official names getting signed or and to your guys' members representation, there's just more ammo for that for sure.
Yeah. So, and there is another thing you can do as a European, but I think you could do it as an American too, and that is the website pledge2019.eu. That is pledge2019.eu. This is a site where European politicians in European Parliament can actually sign the pledge, and that will show the world that they are against this. And but it also allows you to contact all the MEPs who did not sign the pledge yet. And it is an easy way to get in touch with all the people who can change this vote, who can actually put it in our favor. And if you believe it doesn't work, already over 100 politicians signed the pledge, and there is a total of 751 people voting. So we technically only need like 376 or something to.
That's exactly 376.
So we need that many to overturn this, and if we already have 100 who signed the pledge, and then we have a number of politicians who didn't sign it but will still vote against it, then you can imagine we might only need a few more to reach this amount. So convince the local politicians, convince your politicians of your country to sign the pledge, and yeah, it helps them to get elected, right, in the next elections. Probably people will love them for defending the internet. So there is some benefit for them, and explain to them there is. It might be good for your political career if you defend the internet. Maybe you get chosen by the people. You get a huge amount of votes. So convince them to sign it, and yeah, then
Can
we
you
might.
repeat the name of that site, Mark? I didn't hear you quite right.
Okay, that is pledge. Pledge2019.eu. So that is.
Oh, 2019.
Yeah, that is PLEDGE2019.eu. Pledge2019.eu. I'm sorry, I'm not native English, so I'm doing my best, but
You're doing really great, man. That's just one little snag for me. That's all.
I found some French memes, or what you want to call them, pictures. I posted in the graphic section on the topic, of course, Article 13 and such.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so we apparently are at 106 already on the pledge now. So I'm surprised it is actually growing like that. I mean, I looked at it a few days ago and it was 92 or something. Now it is 106. So
Nice. We still have a long way to go though before we are like in like a really good position.
Hey, but at least we're not losing support.
Yeah. Although, can they actually like rescind their pledge though? Be like possible.
Of course they can, yeah. But yeah, as long as they signed it and it's still growing the number, we're safe. Or we're getting close to safety.
We have approximately a third of the votes pledged.
Yeah, if they are smart politicians, and I assume most of them are, they will actually sign it, so everyone knows publicly that they are with us. But I can assume there are some politicians who will still vote against this, but who don't sign the pledge, right? I mean, maybe they don't.
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard that not pledging doesn't necessarily mean you're voting yes on Article 13.
No, exactly. Maybe they have their own reasons not to announce this publicly, and they will just vote against this in the parliament. Maybe they have some.
It's not legally binding.
No, that's true. It's not legally binding.
But I can't seem. It seems to only want to accept European information.
Yeah.
I thought as much because we don't. It wouldn't make sense because these are politicians and representatives. I mean, they wouldn't have anything to gain necessarily from like from us signing it, other than a large amount. You know, because then it's an international cooperation. They could run. It helps for them to cite it that this is why I'm voting it because of this support from them and.
You're right. Yeah, I know. I mean, Americans can't sign it, but you can actually see which representatives have not taken the pledge yet, and you are, of course, allowed as a European, as an American, to email them, and if you, yeah, you can have your own reason. If you are very convincing, then you just email them, and then maybe suddenly they will be convinced by you. I mean, it's free for you to do. They also the entire reason these articles are created is also because of big lobbyists from Silicon Valley, etc., from Hollywood, own all these copyrights. So don't don't feel bad about doing that. Like they will say, like, yeah, it is the movement is supported by American interests or whatever. Yeah, the entire copyright directive is also created because of American interest, or at least some big copyright holders' interest. It's not just European copyright holders. It is, yeah.
Very true. Those people would have some pressure, I guess I could say to them, but nothing official. But emails, this email campaign would be, I think, would be effective too on the pledge here for certain. Definitely, anybody in the world could email on this pledge and pledge, get them to support or recommend that they support in whichever way you can.
Yeah. Well, I'm personally not a big fan of petitions because I think they don't have to listen to them, and it does show a strong message. This is actually the largest petition. You can see on the same site, pledge 2019.eu, that almost 5 million people now signed the petition against it. And that officially makes it the largest petition ever made on change.org. Most successful petition. It shows, I mean, 5 million people is such an incredible amount for a grassroots campaign to achieve. And that
That's
shows.
seriousness of it.
Yeah.
Well, I got that. I have to go, fellas. I have to attend to my things here. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I look forward to spreading this around as much as I can and expressing the seriousness and gravity of it.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here. I mean, I appreciate it, and you had some good input, and I think all listeners appreciated it too. So, thank you.
Bye, guys.
I don't think I have anything else to say either, so I guess I'll be here tomorrow again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream soon. I'm going to tell the streamer to end it soon. I will end it with the last message. One sec. Okay, I told our streamer to get off the air soon. So I want to thank everyone for listening and appreciate everyone coming in. Again, new people in the chat and new people in the show tonight. We'll broadcast again tomorrow. We'll broadcast every day until the directive is stopped, right? So the best thing you can do is share stopacta2.org everywhere. Tell your friends and family about it. Go to the stopacta2.org site and go visit the protest map. That's also we also have like a shortener link. That's bit.do/stopacta2. That is bit.do/stopacta2. So that's a dot between bit and do. That is the full protest map of 73 locations already and over 15 countries. I think it's 74 actually now, because Cyprus just joined. Share it everywhere. Share the Stop Acta 2 site everywhere because it has all the information you need or anyone will need. We still need more translators. And we would appreciate for more people to join on the show too and just speak out about this. If you want to help with that, with translating or being on the show, then visit the Discord server. It is in the link below the stream. Let's see, what else should we have? Should we mention? Oh yeah, that is real quick about the blackout of March 21. Please help with contacting all big websites you know and asking them to join Wikipedia and several other sites in blacking out on the 21st. Because we will not get the attention from the mainstream media we will all be hoping for, because many of these media are actually in bed with this copyright film.